Indiana, we've won one bowl game in 75 years. So I know exactly what they'd be like.
Here's this TCU team. They've been very businesslike, very impressive in practice. Kirk told us each guy, starter, scout teamer, backup, focused on each rep. You can see what it means to their fans to be here. Back-to-back undefeated regular seasons, but last year paired against Boise State. They lost that game even though these fans believe their team outplayed Boise, but now to get a chance to take on Wisconsin. And everybody aware of the fact that although TCU is the favorites here, Desmond, most of you experts think Wisconsin to win this game.
You know, a lot of people did. I think that TCU is a very good team. No matter what conference they played in, I don't care about their schedule. When you watch this team on the field, you know that they're a well-coached team, very disciplined in all three phases of the game. That's what's so impressive, Coach. Offense, defense, and special teams. You know they have one of the best defenses in the country, third in the country against the run.
And that defensive team, 11 of them, are all from Texas. The state of Texas against Wisconsin.
Yes, sir.
There's the Super Frog.
Oh, Super Frog.
Oh, yeah.
TCU will tell you about their journey here to the Rose Bowl, dominating the Mountain West Conference. Wisconsin, there's a swagger for this team, and it kind of comes from their head coach, who has kind of a bad guy wrestler persona, Brett Bielema with Aaron Andrews.
Well, what, 20 years ago to the day you were actually playing in the Rose Bowl? Tell me, what's it like to be coaching in it now versus playing?
Well, it's a completely different feeling. Obviously, a lot of different preparation and stuff, but couldn't ask for a better day out here today and go out and ask for our kids to do what they do.
We talked about this on game day today. You've been emotional all week. Your family's here. You played here. You've got a senior class. What are your emotions like now?
Well, it's come to game time. You block all that other stuff out, before the game and preparation. But when it comes to game day, it's just another day in the park for us. I mean, it's a big deal, but now you got to focus on what you do.
You didn't want your guys to be in awe when they came to the Rose Bowl. That's why you brought them here early to take everything in. What have you noticed from them this afternoon?
Well, that's why we put them in red britches. That's the anti-awe pill. They're going to be able to hopefully concentrate on the game and play the way we play.
Does that seem to be working, the britches factor?
So far, but we'll find out in about 43 minutes.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That's when all the questions will be answered. Bielema breaking with tradition, bringing his team here ahead of the game. They could get a taste of it. He felt when he was a player at Iowa in that Rose Bowl against Washington 20 years ago. They didn't handle the big saves. They got spooked, and they fell in a big hole early. Kickoff about 40 minutes away. They go upstairs to Brent Musburger. Brent.
Chris, thank you very much. I'm up here with Kirk Herbstreit. Herbie, first of all, very happy New Year.
Same to you.
Indeed, and to all of you watching us, they mentioned the red pants down on the field as we take a look at the Wisconsin players. The last time they wore the red pants with the white jerseys here in the Rose Bowl, they defeated Stanford. Now on the other side, Nike preparing a special uniform for the Horned Frogs, but they insisted that it be the base purple color. And there you see they're adorned in their purple pants, but up on the helmet, something special, folks. The rose with the horned frog up there. So, Herbie, we're just about ready to go. As you and I have talked all along, so interesting. There's two games that the fan base really seems fascinated by. Obviously, the championship between Auburn and Oregon coming up on January 10th. But this game had a fascination with people, Wisconsin and TCU.
There's no doubt about it. With this being really the year where we got into such big debates about the non-automatic qualifier and whether or not they deserve to not just be in the BCS, but maybe the BCS championship game. And the way it played out, obviously TCU falling a little bit short, but they finished in the top three. And now the team that they're playing, the Wisconsin Badgers, arguably the hottest team at the end of the country, the most explosive offense in the country, and they get a chance to go up against that big, strong running game and that big offensive line.
Herbie, let's talk about the two quarterbacks. Very efficient, not necessarily stars in everybody's mind, but let's start with Scott Tolzien, the Badger quarterback.
Well, Scott Tolzien is a winner, and he manages the game very well. A great complement to this running game. And, the one thing about Scott Tolzien, and both these guys are winners, Tolzien is a good complement because of the play-action pass. And what about Andy Dalton? This guy has seen everything as a starting quarterback, making his 49th career start. He's 41-7. He is a very big factor in this game because I think TCU, with all their athletic ability and speed, Dalton's decision-making and getting the ball to that speed in space will be a big factor for the Horned Frogs offense.
Let me just touch on the weather here today. We've had a lot of rain in Southern California over the last few weeks and hard rain earlier this week, but it has cleared. It is absolutely beautiful. 60 degrees, calm wind, and Chris Fowler, all systems are go. We should have a great setting for the granddaddy of them all, my friend.
Yeah, right, Brent. It is a flawless day for football here in Pasadena. TCU becoming the first team to play in a Rose Bowl from a non-AQ conference, that designation since 1935. So the Horned Frogs representing the outsiders, the Badgers representing the bullies in the Big Ten. Kickoff coming up soon. We'll be back.
The Bud Light BCS pregame show is brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
Let's see who's prime reform tonight. Brought to you by Gatorade. Talked about the stable of running backs for Wisconsin. John Clay is a finalist for the Doak Walker Award, but again, Monty Ball, very, very tough down the stretch. We talked about speedy young James White. These guys just wear you down, and we'll see if TCU with just one defensive player bigger than 265 pounds to be able to hang in for 4 quarters. It's like to save Clay till late in the game when he really begins to punish people. Speaking of punishment, see what's happened to the Big Ten this afternoon in bowl games. Aggressive Gator Bowl. Rich Rodriguez, wild speculation. This would be his final game, especially if they took a big loss. And hey, taking a big loss as Mississippi State is overpowering him. Vic Ballard muscles in. Only a 3-point game at that point. But then it was 31-14 at halftime after Chris Relf, an improved passer to Rico Sanders. Things really began to unravel for the Maize and Blue, Desmond.
Yeah, it's not looking good for them right now. And you know, you thought that the offense was scoring some points. They haven't scored any points since the first half and still stuck at 14.
Yeah, you know one thing, if Coach Rogers had a chance to say, it's gone now.
Yeah.
They don't give a darn about the whole state of Michigan. The SEC West is muscling. Look at Alabama. Mark Ingram against his dad's alma mater. Michigan native gets to the end zone. Then Greg McElroy in his final game. Look at Ingram. Shows the determination. Hasn't been a great year for the former Heisman Trophy winner, but look at the muscle he shows down inside the 10. Ingram would just muscle in the end zone there. McElroy would make some plays. Touchdown to Mays there. Julio Jones getting up 49-7. Wow. Michigan, state of Michigan teams just hammered.
What was I thinking when I picked Michigan State? Exactly.
Ticket City in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. And Texas Tech played in their home state. They got it going. They took a huge lead on Northwestern. This is like a beat down here. But Northwestern would get back in the game. A late interception return for a touchdown. Notice it's only a 7-point game. Red Raiders trying to salt it away. And Tuberville, kind of a down year, but they finish it with their 8th win, 45-38. So we'll update that game. Penn State and Florida also playing, but a rough afternoon so far for the Big Ten Conference in bowls. Can Wisconsin reverse that trend against TCU? Closing in on 21 minutes to kickoff here in Pasadena. We'll be back. High above the Rose Bowl, Farmers Insurance bringing you aerial coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. Brett talked about how calm it's been all morning. The beginning, you have a little bit of a breeze kick up as kickoff approaches inside of 29 minutes to go. Badger fans have enjoyed themselves all week. There was a big pep rally out in Santa Monica Pier a couple of days ago. Ron Dame, Heisman Trophy winner, was there. There's old Ron with some fans sharing the brand new touchdown big box from Taco Bell. Ron can eat, big eater, big man.
That's a big guy.
Big runner.
Exactly.
Pageantry continues here. We'll have much more in the game plans, predictions ahead as the Horned Frogs and Badgers get set to do battle this anticipated matchup here this afternoon. Wisconsin being played here inside Camp Randall Stadium. They'll not be playing jump around at the end of the third quarter by House of Pain, but boy, it almost looks like a Wisconsin home game. There is a whole lot of red ringing this place. TCU, obviously a much smaller school, a much smaller number of alums. They've turned out in force, but Wisconsin fans treat this like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be here. TCU's road to the Rose Bowl began in Dallas against Oregon State. They played at Jerry Jones' beautiful palace there. It was 21-all in the third quarter. Even though TCU had a 2-1 edge in first downs, they had a big edge in total yards. The defense able to contain Quiz Rogers. They had a late touchdown, a late safety, and they won it by 9. The next week, they laid a beatdown on Baylor. It was 35-3 at halftime. Andy Dalton was 21 of 23 for the game. Total domination of the Big 12 team. Game day was there when they rolled into Salt Lake City and absolutely hammered a Utah team that was ranked number 5. They beat them 47-7, snapped the Utes' 21-game home winning streak. They had the one scare at home against San Diego State when the Aztecs threw a couple of late touchdown passes. That may have cost them some credibility for the voters, but they are here ranked number 3 in the BCS. And more on the Horned Frogs' journey here and their mindset. Aaron, what do you have?
Down with TCU right before they left the field. And let me tell you, Gary Patterson had told us in that pregame that his team looked good. They were emotional. They were excited. He also mentioned yesterday, very quiet, very together. But when the Horned Frogs left the field, they were jumping around like they were Wisconsin. They were going nuts like a circus. It was crazy. And I kept my eye on quarterback Andy Dalton, who Gary Patterson had said been really to himself over the last couple of days. And he was going nuts too. So it'll be interesting to see how the Horned Frogs' emotions translate on the field when kickoff arrives. And like you guys mentioned earlier in the pregame, that Fiesta Bowl, Andy Dalton really felt terrible about the way he played through 3 interceptions, and Gary Patterson was worried. He was going to try to put the weight of the world on his shoulders and try to win this game for his team. That's something he does not want Dalton to do today, Chris.
That's for sure, Aaron. You know, he came out of character when things didn't go well against that tough Boise State defense last year. Dalton began to get angry.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the normal situation. All these guys say, Coach, that they know how to handle this. They're going to come out, take a nod, soak in the atmosphere, then get to business. Boy, it's not always that easy.
Yeah, if I was Coach Patterson, I'd remind the football team that it's us against the world. It's a non-BCS against BCS. I'd remind him they did not want him here at the Rose Bowl. They wanted Stanford. And now you got us, so hello, let's go get them.
So it's safe to say they're playing for a little bit of respect.
Yes, sir.
And they're playing for pride.
Yes.
I think those are 2 excellent motivational factors in any sport, but especially in football. I do think that TCU realizes that, look, we're a fantastic team. We're playing against ourselves. Their mentality has to be, if we go out there and play our type of football, we'll be okay no matter who you line up against us.
We've got a couple of national championships in the resume, but that was way back before the AP poll came into play, and national championships were very fractured back then. There many believe, and TCU fans surrounding us will tell us, this is the biggest game in school history, and they have a lot to gain if they can knock off Wisconsin, but perhaps also a lot to lose, because if they come in here as a favorite, Lee, and they're out-muscled and flattened by a Wisconsin team, that'll set back the cause. Even though this team's going to the Big East next year, I think perceptions will persist if TCU's not up to it today.
Yes, but I don't think it's possible. This TCU team is too good and too motivated to have Wisconsin blow them out. They're a good football team and ready to prove it.
Plus, they have an excellent coach in Coach Patterson.
Yes.
You know, he's going to have his team ready. And Andy Dalton, Coach Patterson told me, having Andy Dalton under center is like having an offensive coordinator running your offense on the field. So it's a big plus to have guys like Dalton and Curley, Jimmy Young, Ed Wesley. These guys have been here before. They're used to a bowl game atmosphere. They're going to perform today.
And I think TCU has a tremendous advantage in the special teams. I think that Curley guy, he could be the difference in punt returns or kickoff returns against Wisconsin.
It's been a problem area for the Badgers covering kickoffs. Allowed a couple of kick returns for a touchdown, a punt return for a touchdown. Arizona State almost had another kick return for a touchdown, tackled at the 1-yard line just as the first half was expiring. So TCU, if you're looking for edges, these guys say there's one in the special teams. Countdown to kickoff continues. Back upstairs to Brent and Kirk. Guys.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Well, TCU, a small private school, versus Wisconsin, a huge public institution. And you can see the difference, but believe me, that the TCU crowd makes up in size with the noise that they have created so far during the pregame warm-ups. I've never met a group of people who are any happier to be in a game that's not for a national championship. They're an undefeated team, but TCU so appreciates this moment here.
There's no doubt. And I think for most of the year, it was them and Boise, who was going to have the edge, and then the upset late opened the door for TCU to have the opportunity to play in this big a game. And this is, let's not make any mistake. People can talk about the BCS all they want. This is the biggest game in school history. TCU is getting ready to play in the biggest game that they've ever played in, and this fan base, as you said, is very vibrant. You can feel the emotion back in Fort Worth and Dallas, and the whole state of Texas pulling for the Horned Frogs to be able to represent themselves in this school.
It was kind of neat that the TCU school actually took out a full-page ad in today's Los Angeles Times, basically thanking the area and appreciating the fact that they're here. And then, of course, Wisconsin. What can you say about the Badger Nation? They simply travel as well as any school in the country.
Yeah, anytime Wisconsin's going to head to a bowl game, especially the Rose Bowl, you can expect 50 or 60,000 fans that are going to come in from Wisconsin. And they're here. They're ready to support their team. They really are excited with the way their season ended. But if you're just tuning into this game for the first time and hearing about TCU and Wisconsin, there are a lot of people who feel that, boy, Wisconsin, they're big and they're strong. How's TCU going to handle it? And a lot of people think TCU is the team that should win this football game. So as much as its perception is David versus Goliath, a lot of people think that the Horned Frogs have what it takes to win this game.
Well, I know I was one of those who was surprised. TCU was posted as the favorite, and that came out immediately, and it hasn't changed. So, Chris Fowler, the setting here is absolutely gorgeous. And to you and the gang down below, Happy New Year, Chris.
And Brent, same to you. I think we're all excited. As you can see, the aerial is just landing. With the Wisconsin flag and the folks in red going crazy. There's the Grand Marshal of the Tournament of Roses Parade, Paula Dean. Cooked up some brats maybe for the Wisconsin fans. Texas barbecue.
Sweet.
The Queen is Evan Freeman, the 93rd Rose Queen of the 122nd Pasadena Tournament of Roses Parade. A huge event here this morning. Folks sleeping out in the cold to get a good vantage point. Thing beamed around the world to millions and millions of people. And now the focus is on this beautiful football field with inside of 19 minutes to go to kick off. We talked about TCU's road here. What about the Wisconsin Badgers? They had a real fight early in the season against Arizona State. A point shot off the upright, a missed PAT. There's the tackle of the kickoff return at the 1-yard line. And Wisconsin very lucky to survive an upset in September on their home field against the Sun Devils. The lone loss was at Michigan State. The Spartans offense ran and threw, but after the game, Brett Bielema said it was sort of a team meeting. They decided they were too determined and too good to let this opportunity to win the Big Ten slip away, and that showed against Ohio State. Kickoff return to open things, power running game. There was a huge party. College Club was rocking at Madison all night long, and then down the stretch against some very weak defenses in the Big Ten, Wisconsin just manhandled the Final Four opponents by 38 points per game. So don't think too much about what they did against Purdue and Indiana, but notice against the top 20 defenses in the Big Ten this season, Iowa and Ohio State, Buckeyes in particular with the kind of athleticism that TCU features on defense, they still put 31 on the board, did not go 3 and out. And that is going to be a real key, Desmond, because TCU's defense does a great job at getting opponents off the field quickly, but the Badgers are just relentless. Now we'd like to welcome you if you've been watching the Outback Bowl. Florida able to seal a late victory over Penn State, 37-24, as Urban Meyer goes out on a high note for Florida, and Meyer finishes at 104-23. It wasn't a real long career with the standards of Paterno and a lot of other guys, but with 2 national championships, a 7-1 record in bowl games, it's a heck of a career.
Oh, he's had a heck of a career. And let me tell you, Des, this is going to be a good football game.
Yeah, you know, he was a very productive coach. He's going to be missed.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to the Wisconsin defense in this game. If you're just joining us, we're diving into the game. Badger defense has looked a little bit vulnerable at times this year. TCU has lots of speed and offense. How do you see that matchup?
They were able to bring it together when they really needed to. I mean, this defense was ranked number 2 in the Big Ten in total defense, only giving up 323 yards per game. Their best player on defense is number 99, J.J. Watt. He's a defensive lineman. They move him around a lot because teams try to double team him. He has great athletic ability. Used to be a tight end. See him right there tackling Terrell Pryor by his shoelaces. And Jay Valai, hey, this guy's about Corso's height. Jay Valai is a big hitter. Knocked the emblem off a guy's helmet one time. He likes to separate the ball from the receiver. Watch out for number 2. And then Antonio Finellis, this cornerback. Brett Bielema said they don't come any tougher than this kid, Desmond. He's a ball hawk. He loves to compete. He leads the team in interceptions with 4 INTs. They don't have any great superstars on their team. Not a lot of guys who go to woo you with their statistics, but they play extremely well as a unit. They're well coached, very fundamentally sound. I like this defensive unit. They're going to be tested, though, because they've never seen this type of athletic ability out in space all over the field like TCU has on offense.
I can't remind you one more time. The special teams from TCU could win this game for them.
You can, but again, everything that you've seen up to this point, all the stats are a function of the opposition. In the Mountain West Conference, TCU has a clear edge athletically in their opponents. I'm not sure all the Wisconsin folks believe that there's any sort of edge here today. Wisconsin underdog square to the odds makers, the pick of most of the experts, and TCU arrives with a chip on their shoulder as well.
Everything we've been able to accomplish, everything we've tried to do as a program up to this point has focused and pinpointed right to this day.
I think we're playing for a lot of the non-AQ schools, to show that these smaller schools can play with the bigger conferences.
People are going to say it's a non-AQ and BCS and all that talk, but for us, as soon as you flipped on the film and you saw the way TCU played, the challenge was going to be very, very great.
It's going to be about business. When we walk out, we're going to look around at the crowd for 1 second, and then we're going to put our heads down and we're going to go to work.
A bowl game isn't a vacation for us. It's not a chance for us to go and enjoy Disneyland. We're going down to Pasadena to win a football game against a great football team in TCU.
So there are the subplots and the storylines. TCU, chance to kick down the door and win the Rose Bowl in their first trip here. And Wisconsin wanted to salvage some pride for the Big Ten Conference. It's been a rough afternoon for that conference. 0-4 in bowls today, losing all 3 to the SEC. 2 of them in blowouts and also losing to the Big 12. Mr. Corso, during the course of the season, you picked the Super Frog.
Right.
You picked Bucky Badger correctly to knock up Ohio State. How do you see this one?
Well, I like Wisconsin this ball game. Now, everybody's talking about the running game from Wisconsin. I agree. But Scott Tolzien to Lance Kinrig, the tight end, this quarterback, the tight end, and the clutch is going to win it for Wisconsin.
Come on, Coach. I like TCU because of the special teams. Wisconsin special teams, the coverage units, they've been really bad. I think field position is going to be huge. I got the Horned Frogs.
I got Wisconsin.
Okay.
But no Bucky Badger headgear because we're here in the seats. I'm afraid. The split decision down here in the set, which we fit. It's a very even matchup. Stand by for the Horned Frogs of the Badgers. Back upstairs to Brent Musburger, Kirk Herbstreit.
Chris, thank you, and we welcome you to the 97th Rose Bowl in Pasadena, where this historical landmark has imploded with a force of fans bleeding 2 colors, red and purple. They are here to watch one of the most anticipated games of the bowl season, TCU and Wisconsin. Looking live at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. The struggle, the anticipation, the drama, and the dreams have all come down to the granddaddy of them all. It's the Rose Bowl game, presented by Vizio. It's all business for the Wisconsin Badgers, who have returned to Pasadena after 11 long years, determined to capture their 4th consecutive victory at the Rose Bowl. But they are taking on a dominating TCU Horned Frog team in their very first Pasadena appearance. Determined here to walk away unbeaten and cement their program's place among the nation's elite. Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome to 2011 in the Rose Bowl with Kirk Herbstreit, Aaron Andrews. I'm Brent Musburger. So nice you could join us today. And Herbie, the grandeur, of this scene. It is just one of the special occasions on the sporting calendar.
There's nothing better for me personally, and I know how you feel as well about our trip every year to Pasadena. There's something about the history, the tradition, the pageantry, the San Gabriel Mountains looking over the stadium. It's as good as it gets, and this will be a fun game today.
Yeah, we've got a good one. Let's start off with that three-headed monster, that running game of the Badgers.
We've been talking about it for now about a month, about Wisconsin, and of course their big offensive line and their running game. You got to be impressed with Monty Ball and what he did late in the year. Really tremendous patience as a runner, number 28. James White brings the quickness and the burst to the backfield. John Clay is back and healthy. He'll really try to give him a chance to show the power into that smaller TCU defense. The Horned Frogs are determined to load the line of scrimmage, so keep in mind, as Lee Corso said, Scott Tolzien and the play-action pass will be very, very essential to Wisconsin's chance to move the football. TCU crowds the line. Tolzien's going to try to throw over top of it.
You know what's interesting, Herbie? Everyone's talking about the speed and the aggressiveness of the TCU defense. That offense averages over 43 points a game.
And that's the difference in the TCU program with Gary Patterson in the last 4 or 5 years. They can now score, and Andy Dalton is 41-7 as a starting quarterback. He brings veteran leadership and decision-making to the position. They're physical in their own right. Up front on their offensive line, Ed Wesley, 32, can run the football. The X factor is Jeremy Curley, number 85. You'll see him watched up as a wide receiver. They try to get him in space. And also on special teams, if he can get a little bit of a seam, he can pick up big chunks of yardage.
Herbie, I'm always concerned about the nerves in a setting like this. What's your feeling?
I agree with you. And with such a long layoff, when all this hype, I just wonder for TCU. They're so anxious to get here, so anxious to prove to the world that they belong. And after the way their Fiesta Bowl went last year against Boise State, they want to show that this team can beat Wisconsin and prove the experts wrong. And they just have to remain cool early, try to settle into the game.
Well, let's go down to the field right now. The TCU marching band. And here is the playing of our national anthem. Welcome you to the Nissan pregame shift for the 97th Rose Bowl game in Pasadena. And the Horned Frogs, unbeaten in the regular season for the second consecutive year, come out behind Coach Gary Patterson. the Wisconsin Badgers. This has been the Nissan pregame shift. Ready to go in Pasadena on a beautiful afternoon for football. 60 degrees here in Pasadena. You can see down at Fort Worth, home of TCU, 47 degrees. And in Madison, a little chilly 16. So I guess everybody's huddled around the TV sets and the fireplace. In Madison, ready to go. Now the captains are out at midfield. Our crew is from the SEC, and we have an outstanding referee, Steve Shaw, who's about to become the head of officials. So let's go down now to Steve.
The president of the Tournament of Roses. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, let me show you this coin we have today. One side has the Wisconsin logo. On the other side, TCU logo. We'll let the coin fall to the ground. The teams whose logo is up will win the toss. Now, we're honored today to have our Grand Marshal, Miss Paula Dean, tossing our coin. Paula, will you do us the honors?
I would be delighted. Good luck, guys. I'm not used to flipping without my skillet, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Good luck to all of y'all.
And the toss is won by TCU. You're going to defer? Let me give you this coin back. Thank you, sir. They're deferred. It's your choice. All right, they're going to receive. Which goal you want to defend? All right, turn your backs here. Wisconsin over here.
And down
TCU
below,
won the toss.
Aaron Andrews is standing by with Coach Gary Patterson. So let's go to Aaron.
Brent, thanks, Coach. Your defense leading the nation for the second straight year. Now you take on this offense with their accurate quarterback, their big line, and those powerful backs. Who do you attack first?
Well, number one, you're not going to stop them. You got to control them. We got to tackle, play leverage, and we can't allow the big run, and we can't allow the play action. So that's our goal today. Offense got to move the ball, score some points, and we got to try to contain them a little bit and then find a way to win by one more point.
You're an emotional guy. What was the last message to your team before they ran out?
Well, I've been in a white pant, a khaki pant. I was in all black. Coach, we got here in khaki, so I went in and changed, baby. So here we go.
Looking good. Thanks.
Thank you.
There, across the way on the far side, Brett Bielema, a player and a head coach in the Rose Bowl, and so we're just about set to go. The officiating crew takes its position, so settle back, everybody. Enjoy this gorgeous scene. And we are ready to go with the 97th Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. Turns it to the 31-yard line. And so here comes Scott Tolzien, the Badger quarterback. Very efficient, not glamorous, but simply does not make the big mistake.
And that'll be such a big thing today, just managing the game. Everybody thinks about Wisconsin and their big offensive line and their running game, and that's a big part of it. But today, his ability to throw the football, especially on early downs with a play-action pass, will be a big part of Wisconsin's attack.
Monty Ball will be the first running back out. First carry for Ball. Huge hole. Explodes. 40, 35, and across the 30-yard line before he is knocked down.
Well, this is what everybody wanted to see. Wisconsin's offensive line. What a great combination block. Kevin Zeitler, number 70, gets up to the linebacker, and Wisconsin picks up where they left off at the end of the regular season with a big effort here by that big offensive line and Monty Ball.
A 40-yard run to open the game on the first down. And note, they didn't go to the left side.
No.
They came back to the right side.
Absolutely.
Now it's the freshman from Fort Lauderdale, James White, who is the running back. Before the play.
Before the snap, false start, number 1 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Nick Toon, wide receiver.
Talked about the emotion of this football game for these football players. Not only the long layoff, but the hype of this game for both teams.
Come with the freshman. Bangs across the 30-yard line, and Jason Teague, the defensive back, up to make the stop. Here are your backs and receivers. Now, obviously, we've already seen 2 of the 3 backs. Nick Toon, guilty of the infraction. Watch for number 84, Lance Kendricks, and there is that offensive line. Karimi and Moffitt on the left. Cones, who scores very high with the coaches. Zeitler and Wagner are on the right. And Monty Ball now checks back in alongside Tolzien, who is back in the gun. His second carry bounces off a tackle, makes his way to the 20, and this is a manageable third down coming up.
Yeah, it is. And considering they had the mental mistake there to get to 1st and 15, they come back with a couple runs and get to a manageable third down, which is exactly where Scott Tolzien needs to be. It's interesting. It's early in the game, but TCU just gave up their longest run that they've given up all year on the first play of this game. How do they respond here early in the game here on this first third down of the ball game?
Double tight end. 3rd and 2. Paul Christ has the play call from up above. From the power set. Another first down. And Monty Ball looking very efficient before Tanner Brock can bring him down.
They've got 9 guys up close to the line of scrimmage. This is the block that we see a lot. Wisconsin brings their linemen around. It's about the 2nd or 3rd time that the first man there that's been there in position to make a tackle has not been able to secure the tackle, and Ball and White both have been able to extend the play for another 3 or 4 yards.
Now, Ball is over 900 yards on the season with those 2 carries. Ewing is set in front of it. Here comes Ball. He is tripped up with a beautiful tackle by T.J. Johnson. His 38th start as a Horned Frog. He's out of Garland, Texas. He forced 6 turnovers this year, and he's a flat good one.
Did you see how he got underneath the block of Kendricks? He beat Kendricks to the point of attack. We heard that all week from TCU. Here comes Kendricks. He goes right underneath it and still was able to not only avoid the block of Kendricks, who's one of the best blocking tight ends around, but also secures the tackle. That was a great play there by Johnson.
White's turn. We have not seen John play. They keep it on the ground to the 13-yard line, and Jones, another of the defensive backs, coming up to make the stop. So this is an interesting third down here, Herbie. This could be Tolzien putting it up for the first time.
It's an interesting play selection by Paul Christ to move this ball down the field. They've not attempted a pass yet, and Paul Christ, much like the Ohio State game that you and I had, they just rolled up their sleeves early in that game and tried to drive the ball down the field running, but now they're going to see if they can throw against this TCU defense and protect Tolzien.
He will throw for the first time. Middle dropped. Toon. Covered by Jason Teague. Andy Dalton getting ready.
Well, Toon is healthy for the first time really since the beginning of the season. Battled through a turf toe injury. Also had a thigh bruise against Ohio State. I don't think he was just ready for the ball. Tolzien back there with his first throw. Makes a pretty accurate throw, but I don't think Nick Toon got his head around in time to be able to make that catch.
So here comes Philip Welsh. He will attempt a 30-yard field goal. Badgers strike first. Welcome back to the 97th Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. Wisconsin 3 and TCU about to receive the kickoff. And here is one of their more dangerous players, as Kirk Herbstreit pointed out in our opening, Jeremy Curley. He will try to give the Horned Frogs field position here, and it'll be interesting to see how the Badgers decide to kick against him. They say bring it on from the right side. And Curley gets into a gap and out to the 22, but overall that is pretty good coverage. Jacob Pedersen, a tight end, down to make the stop. Well, here comes the other Mr. Efficiency, and this is Andy Dalton. And what a career he has had at Fort Worth, Herbie.
6'3", 220, 41-7 as a 4-year starter for TCU. Very, very intelligent thing he said to us, you know, between the preparation, the experience. I've seen everything that every defense has to offer. That experience will be big tonight with his decision-making.
Ed Wesley is a running back who just switched to the right. They throw on first down for 10 yards to Jimmy Young, the senior from Monroe, Louisiana. And this Horned Frog offense, which has averaged over 43 points a game. And there is Ed Wesley. Tucker will join him. You're going to use Evan Frosch today as a tight end against this Badger defense frequently. Marcus Cannon, number 61, out of Odessa, Texas. Great battle on the edge against J.J. Watt, number 99. Dalton, an efficient runner, and he makes his way out to the 43-yard line, forcing Henry to make the stop.
He has 77 carries on the year, and he does it just enough. J.J. Watt collapses down on the zone read on Ed Wesley, and he's able to pull the ball out, and they call that play just enough, Brent, to keep the defense honest, make them appreciate that, and avoid the defense from collapsing down on the ball carrier at all times.
An 11-yard run, back-to-back first downs for the Horned Frogs. Their first series, 5 wide, empty backfield. Dalton has time, and the receiver was down, and there's a penalty. Curley goes down, and the penalty is called for pass interference, and it's on Smith.
Devin Smith putting too much pressure on Curley. He's got a little bit physical there before the ball.
Pass interference, number 10 on the defense. That penalty will be enforced at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
What a contrast in styles, by the way, here. TCU coming out in their spread formation, empty formation. This is Jimmy Young dropping, and on the inside of that was Curley, who got pushed before the ball got there. It was a good call by the officials. But TCU wants to isolate these Wisconsin linebackers and safeties in space in both the run game and the pass attack.
Now they're basically a full house backfield, and Badgers read it perfectly. Nzegwu makes his first stop of the game, number 93.
Really good discipline by Nzegwu. Watch him come down. He just is able to avoid the block of Dooley. And I don't know if Dooley's assignment, the pulling guard, is supposed to be able to pick that up, or if maybe on that play, because it's an option attack, they're hoping that Nzegwu will maybe move to the outside, be caught off guard, and allow the quarterback to dip underneath that. But that time, Nzegwu was all over it, reading his keys perfectly.
Again, emptying out the backfield.
Let's go!
Deflected, incomplete, and that was J.J. Watt making his first impact of this game by deflecting that pass. 3rd down and 10. So that Badger front. JJ has been a star, All-American, efficient linebacker, somewhat underrated. Keep an eye on number 9, Blake Sorensen. The secondary, and of course, Valai, number 2, is a star at safety, hard hitter. 3rd down and 10 now for TCU. And he throws for a 1st down to Jimmy Young. That's the 2nd catch of the game for Young. And that picks up another 1st down. And remember, that was 3rd and long.
Absolutely, and I think a little bit of confusion here by Finellis because of the formation and the way they stacked their receivers there to the field. How about the arm strength by Andy Dalton on 3rd and 10, getting back there and making a great throw to Jimmy Young before he was even close to the sideline, showing tremendous velocity on that throw.
Matthew Tucker now the running back. Play action to him. Dalton has plenty of time, incomplete. Curtis Clay was the intended receiver, and I think Dalton thought he was going to work a little closer to the sideline.
And the Rose Bowl field is the best field that you're going to see in college football, but there's been a lot of rain in Southern California, and I don't know if it's the new cleats that TCU is wearing, but I've really noticed whether it's on a kickoff return or these receivers trying to get out of breaks, there's a lot of the TCU wide receivers are slipping. Something to keep an eye on, I think, throughout this football game, especially in the early going.
Tucker and Wayman James now in that backfield. Dalton keeping it and running for the 3rd time. Stop made by Bo Allen, freshman.
Every time you run the quarterback, it gives you an advantage with the numbers, and it makes this Wisconsin defense, it's so concerned about Curley and Jimmy Young and all the speed on the perimeter. It makes him have to focus back to the quarterback to Andy Dalton, and all that's doing is not only picking up yards and giving him a manageable 3rd down, it's setting up other plays down the road to get back out on the perimeter.
3rd down again for the Frogs. And there is a penalty flag.
Watt was pointing the finger at Roth, saying that he was leaning a little bit, but it looked like J.J. Watt, whether he's pulled off or not, it's going to come down to either.
Before the snap, false start, number 70 on the offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
J.J. Watt. Yeah, J.J. Watt as he went around him. Top of the screen, 99, 2-point stance. You see, just because of the respect that he has for J.J. Watt, he's trying to get a little bit of a head start to jump out there to help out. Now they've moved J.J. Watt around a little bit. Now he's on the inside over the right guard.
So he's played both right, left defensive end. Now he's lined up at tackle, trying to get a rush on Dalton, who throws. Got another 1st down. Converted on 3rd and 11. And again, it is Jimmy Young who is on his way to a monster here.
What a tremendous drive here for Andy Dalton. 2nd time, 3rd down and long. The offensive line's giving him time. And the receivers, if Dalton has time to throw against his secondary and against these linebackers, Dalton's going to make him pay for it. That time, Watt got up again, almost knocked the ball down, but Dalton finds his man downfield.
Ball is at the Badger 26. Not afraid to stick his helmet in there, is he, Herbie? Here in the early going, Watt making the stop, but Andy Dalton has come to run a little bit.
He has, and clearly with having a month to prepare, they see something that they can take advantage of, and just picking up just 3 or 4 or 5 yards here and there. And also you wonder if it eventually sets up a bigger play down the road where they start to bite down on Dalton, maybe running the ball. And TCU loves double moves. They can give him a little move to the inside and then go deep downfield, and Dalton could get him and maybe crease him for a touchdown.
Yeah, Dalton has carried the ball 4 times, throws it again, pump fake, goes back down the middle of the end zone. Touchdown, Horned Frogs. Bart Johnson, the senior from Brownwood, Texas, a 23-yard scoring strike. And there it was set up by what he was doing, just as you called.
The double move is something that TCU has had such great success with. The biggest game of the year against Utah on the road, they had success and a touchdown a couple times early in that game with double moves. And Dalton, because of his patience, lets the play develop, doesn't give it away, and all the throws that they had underneath underneath. Finally, they got the safety, Aaron Henry, to bite up, and they went right behind him.
Ross Evans tacks on the extra point. TCU takes its first lead, 7-3, over the co-champions of the Big Ten.
ESPN College Football, the Rose Bowl game, is presented by Vizio, delivering entertainment freedom for all. And in part by Tostitos, Lay's Classic, and Sun Chips. We make them natural, you make them fun. And Nissan, proud partner of the Heisman Trophy.
Well, this morning, the 122nd Rose Bowl parade featured the TCU and Wisconsin marching bands. Paula Dean, of course, the Grand Marshal, one of the great cooks, and it was so cute when she asked Steve Shaw before the game, can I flip this coin with a skillet? And he said, no, ma'am. So here's the kickoff, fielded on the 6-yard line by Gilreath, looking for an alley. And he is out to the 32. Herbie, let's go back to that score.
Well, they had so much success underneath. And here's Jeremy Curley, who's going to come in to kind of show that it's going to be a screen. The guy that they picked on is Aaron Henry, coming up to respect that. And then the touchdown gets right behind them. But watch Aaron Henry come in, see that he thinks it's potentially a screen to Curley. And then right behind him, it opens up a nice seam there to Bart Johnson. And the patience that time by Andy Dalton paid off. A 10-play drive, 6 passes. That was textbook that time for Justin Fuente, the co-offensive coordinator for the Horned Frogs, calling the plays.
Ball is the tailback. Workhorse here in the early going, and this time he has jumped at the point of attack. So here is this, some have said undersized, but I want to tell you this. This is a very fast defense. Keep an eye on number 96, Wayne Daniels. He's edge. Remember Jerry Hughes, great rusher, Tank Carter and Tanner Brock, 2 tackling machines at the linebacking spot, and a very tall, rangy group of safeties. They play that base 4-2-5. Tolzien, middle, and he throws to his favorite target, number 84, Lance Kendricks.
And Kendricks is a guy who they want to try to isolate one-on-one. This is a nice job of giving Tolzien time, but look at, again, another player from TCU slipping, this time to Karen Cuba, who was isolated one-on-one against Kendricks. Kendricks makes a move to the inside. Cuba goes down. Very simple throw for Tolzien, who completed 74% of his passes this year, tops in the country.
14 yards is the gain. And on the first down, here is Ball on a sweep left, and he breaks a tackle. Finally brought down by Greg McCoy.
These big offensive linemen trying to get a push. This is the battle we all want to see. The movement from TCU's defensive line. How about the center, Peter Kahns, trying to lead the way? You don't see that very often from a center. The athletic ability to come around and try to help out. He gets there, knocks away 2 TCU defenders, and Ball gets up and picks up more yards.
John Clay has just checked in for the first time as the tailback. They show a power I formation. Play action. Tolzien comes to the near side, and it is complete. Abrideris with his first catch of the game.
Here's the view from our DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. Good job again. He's in rhythm. Both these quarterbacks have come to throw. Actually, the pressure got to him. He does a good job throwing it from the left hash all the way to the right sideline. A long throw, but a good call on an early down by Paul Chryst. Try to take advantage of the aggressive TCU defense crowding that line of scrimmage.
Play action again. Got a man wide open. Down to the 1-yard line they go on the pass to Brady Ewing, the fullback.
Another play action here to try to get these defensive backs up close to the line of scrimmage. And what down did it come on? 1st and 10. When you're thinking, you got to be ready for Big John Clay. They're going to run the ball. The safeties get out of position, and Ewing, who is known as one of the best blocking fullbacks in the country, showing the hands there, his 8th catch of the year. And how about the shot that Scott Tolzien takes that time from Tank Carter?
Now you would expect for sure big number 32 is coming at him behind that massive offensive line. Here he is. Touchdown. Wisconsin regains the lead.
We got a ball game. We got a ball game. It's going to be fun.
Not a bad kick.
You know it's coming. You just got to be able to make that play, that initial contact. We've seen it in these first couple drives. The Wisconsin running backs are running through those would-be tacklers, those arm tackles, and getting more yards. And that time, big, powerful John Clay gets it into the end zone.
Welsh tacks on the extra point. So Clay's first touch of the day results in the Badgers' first touchdown of the day. Farmers Insurance bringing you aerial coverage of the Rose Bowl game and coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. Well, during that timeout, they brought out the level on the goalposts that the Badgers just used for their extra point. And it did require a little bit of an adjustment. There we have it. I've seen it in basketball.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah, oh yeah. To level up, and now we're set to go. They are kicking to the corner, and this time Curley is over on that side. They want the ball in his hands, and why not? He explodes to the 43-yard line, and Welsh, the kicker, is there to bring him down. Badgers lead the Horned Frogs. We'll be right back. Andy Dalton and the Frog offense ready to go back to work. Ed Wesley is the running back. And in that scoring drive by TCU, they were 2 of 2 on 3rd down, and both times that was 3rd and 10. And Andy Dalton carried the ball as a runner 4 times. This time he hands it off to Wesley, and the stop is made by linebacker Mike Taylor.
Looking forward to seeing how Wisconsin tries to adjust to this skill and speed. The thing that's most challenging facing this TCU offense is how multiple they are with their formations and personnel groupings. Brett Bielema telling us this week, if I had 1 week to get ready for this offense, it would be a nightmare. Having the extra time has really helped them dial in to all the different formations and adjustments you have to make as a defense.
They're the full house backfield, basically, and Pump going deep again. And he's got him inside the 15-yard line. Josh Boyce, his first catch of the game.
Boy, Josh Boyce has a tremendous future in Fort Worth. The freshman who had a 93-yard touchdown against Utah, another double move. This time they catch Brinkley peeking on an underneath route. This is why you have to respect Andy Dalton. This repertoire, he's got a lot of different receivers. He can throw it to anybody, and you have to respect the underneath game, and then they'll give you the pump fake, and they'll get downfield in a hurry.
44 yards, and the Horned Frogs empty out the backfield here on a 1st down, and Dalton's 5th carry of the game. Let's give Taylor credit for another stop, the Badger linebacker.
A big part of this game throughout 4 quarters will be TCU containing J.J. Watt, which they've done a pretty good job of up to this point. But you know that's going to be an ongoing battle up front, not just for Marcus Cannon, who's the left tackle, but the entire offensive line and the pass protection group of TCU trying to keep him out of that backfield.
Curley is one of the 3 wide to the right. Dalton again. Close to a 1st down.
Design quarterback draw. This is a big part of this game plan right now for TCU. Waiting just a beat or two and then just following the big center, Jake Kirkpatrick, and also the running back, Ed Wesley. And so far, Andy Dalton not just hurting the Badgers through the air, but also running the football 6 times for 27 yards.
Third down. And note it's not 3rd and goal. They can still get a first down here. Here comes Dalton again for the end zone. Touchdown, TCU. The Badgers' lead did not last long. Folks, we've got 2 teams that average 43.3 points a game.
Remember the bowl game Andy Dalton had last year against Boise State? I think this game is personal for Dalton. Another zone read. J.J. Watt collapsed down on the running back. Dalton makes a great read. Looks like they're going to take a peek at this. He had the ball in his left arm instead of the right arm. Just going to take a peek to see if the ball got across the goal line before he went out of bounds. Remember, it's where the ball is, not where his foot is. So as he gets out of bounds, that's worth another look for sure. Should have put that ball just last second over into that right arm and extended it across the goal line.
Well, Dave Perry is up here in the booth with us, and of course he's done a great job through the years, not only with the Big Ten previously, but now as the head of the Federation of Officials, and he thinks he was in the end zone. He just gave a little thumbs up over here. So we will see. Remember, it is an SEC instant replay official who will take a look at it. Unlike the NFL, Shaw will not go underneath the hood here, and then they will receive word of it. Even if it were to be ruled not a touchdown, it would be a 1st and goal.
Yes, it would.
One thing to keep in mind, very, very short. But it looks to us and to Dave Perry like he got in. What'd you think?
If Dave Perry says that it's in, then chances are it's in. It's definitely a close call. The play was outstanding. Watch J.J. Watt come down. Hesitates just for a second. Dalton's got the confidence to think, I'm going to pull this ball, and I know I can beat him to the corner. So instead of thinking, hey, you got to block J.J. Watt,
it'll be a touchdown.
There it is. Dave Perry is right.
Why not? You know, he has a son, John Perry. This is his 3rd year as a referee in the National Football League. And my friend Dave, I think he's refereed and umpired just about everything in the world. So we count on him now. So here we go. We've had 23 points scored here in the first quarter of this football game. And now Ross Evans tacks on another extra point for the Frogs. Justin Fuente is the offensive coordinator. You saw Andy Dalton on the telephone. I want to give you one quick anecdote as you look at Fuentes and then that conversation with him about Andy. I said to him, okay, what was the best thing about going to Disneyland this year? And he said, we got to go to the front of every line.
Oh, I love
and
that.
It was such an honest human reaction. And folks, don't we all wish we could go to the head of the line at Disneyland when we're there? They had a wonderful time. 2 very class football teams and operations in this game.
He kind of had that look on his face like, the best part? Well, they let us go to the front of the line. Like, can you believe that?
I'm going to Disneyland. Well, there's Coach Patterson, who in his 10 years with TCU has done such a fabulous job of putting together the nucleus of this team. Remember, he was a defensive coordinator under Dennis Franchione before Dennis left for Alabama, and then he became the head coach. He's been offered other head coaching jobs. I know that Kansas State was interested. That's Gary's alma mater, but he's very comfortable. And he has it going down there. They're improving the stadium. Great fan base in Fort Worth. Kevin Sharples will kick it off, and White is back deep with Gilreath. And again, it is Gilreath. Good special teams coverage there. And on Monday night, ESPN delivers the Discover Orange Bowl, featuring 2 of the hottest teams and 2 of the top quarterbacks in the nation. Pac-10 Player of the Year Andrew Luck leads the Stanford Cardinal against Tyrod Taylor. and the Virginia Tech Hokies. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern time. And Herbie, this is a heck of a duel. Different styles, but very good.
Boy, what a great job Andrew Luck did this year with their balanced attack for the Cardinal. Jim Harbaugh and Tyrod Taylor, one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the game, and tremendous leadership for the Hokies.
Monty Ball back in the backfield here for Tolzien. And here they come behind that massive offensive line. And you just get the feeling that the first team that can discover a stop defense is going to get the upper hand.
Yeah.
So far, we haven't seen it.
We've not, and it makes you really think about turnover. Who the big turnovers in this game, and who ends up winning the turnover margin to give their own offense another opportunity to attack the other defense also could be a big factor before this game's said and done. But these offenses got after it in the first quarter.
And that was Boyce, the young man who set up that TCU touchdown, who was receiving attention on the sideline. 14-10. TCU leads Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl. Welcome back to the 97th Rose Bowl game, presented by Vizio. High-scoring opening quarter, 14-10 TCU, a non-automatic qualifier with a lead over Wisconsin, the co-champions of the Big Ten. In 2012, TCU will move to the Big East. And you see the San Gabriel Mountains in the background. What a glorious setting this is. We open the second quarter. Badger football, 2nd down and 5. Scott Tolzien hands it off to Ball, who explodes in the middle again to the 46-yard line, and Cuba makes a stop. Herbie, you made the point, that battle between the front and the defense, very lopsided in the first quarter.
Everybody wanted to see how the size of Wisconsin's offensive line would do with the not the lack of size, but just the speed, the aggressive nature that TCU has, the way they move people around. They try to confuse you, and for a quarter anyway, and now another play, Wisconsin really controlling things at the line of scrimmage against the speed of TCU.
It is big that TCU held the Badgers to a field goal on their first drive of this game. And they come back with White, the freshman, and let's check in down below with Aaron Andrews.
And just to add on the size disadvantage with TCU's defense, Gary Patterson's been walking over to the bench every time they've been there and said, tackle low, do not tackle them in the middle. You won't get them down. You have to tackle lower.
And with that was a couple of the good tackles. Johnson made one. You pointed that out. They got down into the...
You got to get low, and you got to gang tackle. The only way you're going to slow down this big offensive, not the line, but the backs, is you got to have 2 or 3 different jerseys trying to slow down these running backs.
2nd and 6. And now it'll be 3rd down, and James White. St. Thomas Aquinas, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Badgers do a great job of seeking out some skill players from the state of Florida and the state of Texas, Ohio, and they do a heck of a job of recruiting right there in their home base, Wisconsin, Minnesota. The J.J. Watt story, of course, many of you are very familiar with. He was a tight end at Central Michigan. Brian Kelly left, committed to Minnesota. Glenn Mason left, finally enrolled with his heart back in Madison, sat out a year, and switched over to the defense, and he's been a great player. Now we've got 3rd down and 3. Very close. The front hill for the Frogs against White this time.
Looks like they're about a half a yard short. Brett Bielema has an aggressive nature. Remember that call that he made against Iowa to help the Badgers end up beating the Hawkeyes on the road. So you know his nature is to go for it.
And the big fella, number 32, is Daddy. He grew up admiring one Jimmy Brown of the Cleveland Browns, and his son wears that familiar number 32 that Brown wore during his Hall of Fame career with the Browns. And let's see if he can hammer like Big Jim. Over the top. 1st down, Badgers.
Actually, pretty good penetration that time by Tanner Brock, the linebacker. 35 is able to slip through there, hits him low, but the size of Clay, not only does he get through right there, Brock hit him right before the line of scrimmage, but you can see that John Clay, even though he's a big back, pretty nimble on his feet. He got through Brock, landed on his feet, and picked up a few more yards. This is where Wisconsin typically likes to get into their play-action game. They start to sustain a drive, get you thinking about the run, and then they can start to throw the ball.
There is the play action. White, the running back, going to throw back. Incomplete, and they had him slipped out of the backfield. And Tolzien would love to have that throw back.
Yes, he would. He needed to wait just a little bit longer for White to be able to separate and get downfield. He also had Lance Kendricks on that about another 10 or 15 yards downfield. But like I said, and this is something that TCU, they've talked all week about using their eyes. We know we have to match up physically to the run game, but we have to use our eyes for discipline for Gary Patterson to get back against the play action. That time they left a couple receivers open there on the 1st and 10 play action pass.
Marty Ball back on the field. Gets the carry. Huge hole in the middle for 9 yards. I mean, the middle of that. Peter Kahns grades out as high as any offensive lineman. Look at that block by 66. He blew the door off.
Kahns is one of the top centers around. He's only a sophomore, but see how they get you? They get you on skates and they push you to the sideline. That time, all three. You had a block by Kahns, Moffitt, the left guard, Karimi, who won the outlet. They locked up with their guys and just pushed them to the sideline, and that's how that hole opened up right up into the middle.
Monty Ball closing in on 100 yards. He has 96, 10 carries, 40 in 1 carry. Looking for 100. He's thrown back, but he picked up the first down. Corey Grant making the stop.
Well, this is such a mismatch right now. There's such confidence, I think, from Wisconsin and Paul Chryst to play calling. I think it's a matter of, hey, they know that we're going to run. They have extra men up at the line of scrimmage, but we have such an advantage with our size and the way we're pushing them around. We're going to continue to run the football, mix in play action pass here or there, and I think that's going to be the kind of the formula that they use to continue to move the football right down the field. They've only had 1 negative play so far in this game.
And Tolzien on a busted play. Wayne Daniels throwing him to the ground.
Self-destructing. Which offense eventually puts the ball down and allows the opponent to pick it up? Talked about that could go a long way in determining who wins this game with the way these two offenses are moving up and down the field.
Huge for TCU to put the Badgers in 2nd down and long. 2nd down and 11. And the handoff to White, the freshman. And he is stuffed, and now it is 3rd and long, and the Badgers have to come up with a pass. Tank Carter makes the stop.
Remember when he met with us after practice, he said, we have to beat him to the point of attack. He gets behind the lineman and just uses his speed to be able to chase down White, the ball carrier, who's the fastest back of the Badgers, of the trio that they have. That time, a great job and great instincts there by the junior linebacker.
Kendricks off to the right. They've gone to tune once in this game. Tolzien comes in underneath. Not a first down throw. Greg McCoy comes up on Anderson.
Well, that was just great coverage downfield, and these routes, because it was 3rd and long, took a lot of time. TCU got some pressure, but Scott Tolzien showing that he also can sit in there, picks up enough yards to have a likely field goal attempt that they have a chance to put up some more points here with Philip Welch.
He was terrific in the pregame warm-up. Made several 50-yarders. He's from the right hash. He's 8 of 11 from the 40 to the 49. He pulled this one to the left and missed it. Missed a 39-yard field goal. He was coming up empty in this game on any drive is huge.
Yeah, he was 7 of 7 inside 40 yards coming into this game. So the missed field goal, like you said, it's a breaking a serve. Now the ball is back to Andy Dalton.
Now we'll see if the Badgers can hold at the point of attack. One of the great scenes. Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. TCU 14, Wisconsin 10. 2nd quarter. Jet into round, and deep goes Dalton, incomplete, and he's lucky it wasn't picked up. Now let's go back to the quarterback versus J.J. Watt. Herbie.
Yeah, and this is something that they've shown at times, but look, here's J.J. Watt, one of the premier defensive linemen in the country. How do they plan to attack him? Not blocking him. They've been reading him, making him make a decision, and here he's taking Wesley on an option read. Same thing here on the touchdown. They're not blocking him. Dalton's waiting to see if Watt's going to take the quarterback or the running back. He hesitates just for a second. Dalton uses the speed, enough speed to get into the end zone. So far, 7 carries for 31 yards.
On second down, there's a little bit of a flanker screen to the outside, and Curley's first catch, I believe, of this game. It is indeed. They've gone to Young several times, but they want to get Curley, their game breaker, involved.
Anytime you can get the football in his hands, it's a good thing for TCU. That's why he's back on punts and kickoffs. He's just one of those typical players that you see today in these spread formations where they try to get him the football in space, and whatever way they can do that, they feel that they have a chance to pick up big yards.
TCU is 3 of 3 on third down. Make it 3 of 4. That is short of the first down.
Brent, another TCU player making a cut and going down. I mean, if he doesn't slip, he's got a chance to be able to catch the ball and get upfield. But another TCU player, the reason he's falling is he lost his balance there and did not have a chance at all, but it's a stop nonetheless for Wisconsin's defense.
So here's the story, folks. You are looking at a 280-pound punter, Anson Kelton.
Now
take a look at this, huh? He looked like a linebacker or a defensive end. Gilreath, return ace for the Badgers. Fields it on the 25. And out of bounds on that far side. So it was the Badgers' turn to stand up defensively. They did exactly that. They'll have the ball when you come back.
ESPN College Football, the Rose Bowl game, is brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. DirecTV. Don't just watch TV. DirecTV. The touchdown big box, only at Taco Bell. And Allstate. Dollar for dollar. Nobody protects you like Allstate. Are you in good hands?
55 years of the Beef Bowl, that eating competition between the Rose Bowl teams on separate nights at Lowry's, the prime rib. And Gabe Karimi, Herbie had a chance to ask him. I said, how many orders did you get, big fella? He said 5. There he is. I mean, he's a total eclipse when you stand up there next to him. I can't imagine how these defensive players are even trying to find him when he backs behind this offensive line. And here they come hammering with John Clay. And Aaron Andrews, Herbie has noticed a lot of slipping on the part of TCU. What's the story?
We're looking at them. Those are the cleats, brand new, designed by Nike for the Rose Bowl. They're actually supposed to prevent slipping. TCU got these cleats, Brent, on Sunday, and I heard from their staff, even during practices, they were changing them out. So I just asked the equipment staff, are you able to change out the cleats in the game? They didn't bring another pair.
Look for a lot of tape. Second down and 4. Tolzien pulls out and fires incomplete. That was great coverage by Jones on that play against Pedersen.
Well, these hybrid safeties, Colin Jones and Cuba on one side, you have T.J. Johnson. These guys do a good job of being physical and trying to come up and run support, but athletic enough to get back in coverage. And TCU again has put Wisconsin and Tolzien into a third down situation.
Third down, Herbie, for the Badgers. They're 2 of 5 in this game. Under pressure, incomplete. Toon. They've gone to him twice, and Jones is there again. He has done an excellent job. He's a senior from Bridgeport, Texas.
Great coverage, and this time they got pressure finally on Scott Tolzien. It's the first 3 and out of the football game that we've had here, and it's TCU who's this time able to bring the pressure and lower the boom. They brought both their linebackers, and Tanner Brock got home. Tolzien lucky he got that ball off, but 2 plays back-to-back by Colin Jones and good coverage downfield.
Now here we go with Curley. Back deep for TCU. Nortman, and it is stopped. Whistle blew.
Before the snap, false start, number 36 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
So Ethan Armstrong picks up that penalty against Michigan State. The Spartans struck on a punt return for a touchdown. See what kind of coverage the Badgers come up with. And they're going to fake it and take off on this. And he dives for the first down. Oh, my, Brad Nortman. That's one of those where you better make it or stay away from the coach.
Deja vu, Wisconsin with a Big Ten championship on the road at Iowa City. The exact same call, and this time Nortman was taking forever to finally get upfield. Here's our view from the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam. The hesitation, I thought he might have waited too long, but he's just buying time for the convoy to get in front of him. All of a sudden, he's become an offensive weapon for this football team this year.
You don't see fake punts on 4th and 9.
In your own
4th
territory.
and 9 very often. It'll be interesting as that was Ball back in the game. And I believe he'd just gone over 100 yards with that run. T.J. Johnson makes the stop. It'll be interesting to find out after the game if the youngster saw something and did it on his own back there, or they actually called for the fake on 4th and 9.
Knowing Brett Bielema and the courage that he has shown this year, I think that was a called play. I don't think Nortman has the courage to be able to go out there on his own, although he did hesitate so early. But Brett Bielema, that could change the complexion of the game as far as the momentum as well.
2nd down and 6. Stoned in the backfield. Best defensive play of the game, and Tank Carter from Sweeney, Texas, makes it.
This is textbook here for Gary Patterson. A great job by these linebackers the last 2 series of getting underneath the blocks and getting into the backfield. Tanner Brock starting this himself, and this time it's Tank Carter, 43. These 2 have been very instrumental this year for the Horned Frogs, and they're starting to settle down and get a better read on Wisconsin's offense.
3rd and 8. Can they find Lance Kendricks? Tolzien has time. Diving catch, incomplete. They wave it off. They say Toon did not have the ball.
He's calling for hey, call the timeout. I caught this football. Make them review this. Well, we're going to take a look at it. Boy, that hand, his right hand looked like it might have gotten under. I don't know if the football touched the ground.
This is a very tough call.
Brent, just the effort here by Toon. Now that he's healthy, you can start to see the type of receiver that he is. I would think they're definitely going to take another look at this.
Remember, it was ruled incomplete on the field. That's always a consideration on these plays. And there it is, stopped by Shaw, because the instant replay fellas are looking at it.
The previous play is under further review.
I'll tell you, the effort here on 3rd down. 3rd down. Watch his right hand. As it turns, does it get underneath before the ball touches? That is a tough call.
What would be your call?
I'd be looking at it. I think his right hand got underneath. I think it's a catch. What about you? I think his right hand, as it turns,
remember, the ball
underneath the football.
It's incomplete if that ball slides. I honestly, as Dave Perry just told us, I did not see it slide, okay? So this is a very tough call from upstairs. Nick Toon thought right away that he'd made the catch, so we'll come right back.
Yep.
Well, we are back, and they are still waiting the ruling on a very, very tough call. Ruled incomplete on the field. Has to be indisputable, folks. Watch the right hand. Is it underneath it? Ball doesn't slip. Do you turn it over? with that video evidence.
How about the hand strength, by the way, of Nick Toon? He's like, review this. That's a catch. That's a catch. I don't know. It's going to be, this is one of the longer reviews we've had, and I don't blame him, by the way.
I don't either.
This is a 3rd down and 9 or 3rd and 8. And if it's a catch, it's a first down. If not, it's obviously a punting situation. But with Bill,
here comes Steve with the decision.
After review, it was a completed pass. It will be 1st and 10 for Wisconsin. Play will resume after the media timeout.
David Perry is 2 for 2.
You made me go out on a limb before we got Dave Perry involved. Woo, man. Oh,
all right, 4:22 left here in the first half now.
Let's not forget not only that play, but the fake punt. This is the same drive where Wisconsin living on the edge here on this drive and trying to take the lead back down by 4.
Play action out of the power formation. Tolzien is sacked for the first time today. He is ripped down, and Jones, one of the safeties, coming in.
Well, this is a great job by TCU downfield with their coverage, and you can see from the DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam, the play took too long to develop. It's 1st and 10, play action, but the blitz and the pressure this time by, again, Colin Jones, the senior, who's having a great game. In a game that's been dominated by the offenses, Jones in these last few series, along with the 2 linebackers, Carter and Brock, really starting to step up.
2nd and 17, white flares. They throw back to the middle, and Kendricks breaks a tackle. So Lance Kendricks catches the pass, and Cuba wrestles him down. He's a point of emphasis for this TCU defense. They know how often the Badgers like to get the 84.
Tanner Brock is dialed in on Lance Kendricks. He is not able to hold on and make the tackle. He slows him down well enough. But I think Gary Patterson and the adjustments that he and his staff are making on this side of the football starting to really play out here for the Horned Frogs. They seem a little bit more dialed in here these last few series.
Getting a little more leverage with that quick defensive line. Now, not this time. Nothing doing. They were held out, and as a result, Tolzien burns them with the pass to David Gilreath. That's 13 yards, and a great job by the offensive line here.
Interesting, the soft coverage. Look how easy Wisconsin can get off the line of scrimmage. And for an attacking defense, rare to see them just let Gilreath and the Wisconsin offensive line with a free, or the Wisconsin receivers with a free release, getting downfield and not getting any kind of push at all by the secondary. Typically, they're up in your face at the line of scrimmage.
The freshman back on the field. Here comes White. Battles his way for about a yard behind the right side of that line. Well, coming up on the Chevrolet halftime report, Chris Lee and Desmond, they'll break down the first half for you, and we'll hear from both marching bands. That'll be coming up at halftime, and there are some of their lead stories.
What did the Big Ten lay an egg today, New Year's Day? Mercy.
John Clay is in as the running back, 2nd and 9. Kendricks is on the right side of the formation. Nothing doing, and this is going to be 3rd and long. Carter again. Tank, one of the best named linebackers in the country.
You're Tank Carter. You've got to be able to make plays. And like I said, he and Tanner Brock doing a really good job of getting away from blocks. In the first quarter, Peter Kahns and John Moffitt and Gabe Karimi and all the way across Kevin Zeitler, Ricky Wagner, they were not only controlling things up front, they were getting to the next level and getting to those linebackers. They've not been able to do that as effectively here.
Tolzien has time, snaps it off a little short, got back to Kendricks again, and that was defended by T.J. Johnson. Well, if he was willing to go on 4th and 9, he will go on 4th and inches.
Great effort here. Well, this is two of the best players on the field going head-to-head. Lance Kendricks against T.J. Johnson. Ball is thrown right on the money. Kendricks uses every ounce of his body, including his thighs there, to hold on to that football.
Well, here's Philip Welsh, and of course, I think I forgot to look at the clock. And quickly, Welsh came on the field. And that's exactly why the field goal team came out.
Right.
I had lost track of the last 30 seconds, and it's a one-point game. A great Rose Bowl unfolding. Welcome back to the second half of the 97th Rose Bowl game, presented by Vizio. Let's check it down below now. Aaron Andrews is with Wisconsin coach Brett Bielema. Aaron.
Brett, thanks. Well, that field goal wouldn't have happened without that fake punt there. You have to tell me, what was the call on 4th and 9?
Well, we ran it the first time, and our guy jumped off sides, and we knew it was going to be good. That guy did a great job reacting, but they've shown it all year on film. Just something we took advantage of.
3rd down. How do you stop him? I know you just said that's the problem.
That's the problem. Also, play action over our head. We told our DBs we're not going to give anything over the top. We do that like we did on those series. You know, we're going to be off the field and give it back to our O.
All right, thanks for making time. Brent?
Aaron, thank you very much. And certainly that clears up any guessing. It was certainly a call play by the coaching staff, and they come away with it. But Herbie, I want to go back to the last 7 minutes because the end of the half sort of got by me, and Wisconsin didn't use any timeouts.
I think it got by everybody, including Brett Bielema in Wisconsin, because they're driving, and there was so much that happened. The fake punt, the catch by Toon where he got his hand under. The officials looked at it for 3 or 4 minutes, and I think the time got away from them because they're an aggressive coaching staff. They want points there, not just a field goal. They want to go for the end zone, and I think that the clock getting down that quickly may have surprised them. But now we get to the point where you look at TCU. Andy Dalton has accounted for 140 of the 141 yards of offense for TCU in the first half. They've got to be able to mix in some of their playmakers besides Dalton trying to carry everything.
Herbie, let's go now to the Home Depot coaching adjustments.
Well, and Dalton did a great job of, in the first few drives, getting the ball thrown underneath and trying to make this Wisconsin defense appreciate that. And once he got him to respect that aspect, that's where they got the pump and go, the double move to Bart Johnson for the touchdown. So that's something I think Dalton will continue to do. And you think about what Andy Dalton has done, 41-7 as a starter. He's got great leadership, but right now not only is he throwing the football, he also has 7 carries tonight, which leads this team.
As we take a look at the comparison between our two quarterbacks, Tolzien 8 of 12 for 106 and Dalton 7 of 10 for 109. Herbie, of course, pointed out that rushing difference down there. I do want to point out one thing, Herbie. The Badgers have had the ball for 21 minutes and 28 seconds to 8:32 for TCU.
And the big issue here for Gary Patterson is his defense. They've made some adjustments and they played much better at defending the run with their linebackers and safeties. But it's a 4-quarter game, and those big bodies start to lean on you. You wonder how they'll hold up, and does fatigue become an issue in the second half for Gary and his defense?
TCU won the toss and deferred, so they will receive the ball to start the second half. And that means that Jeremy Curley and Welsh has done a very good job of pinning Curley to the sideline.
Yes.
Once on the right, once on the left over here. Now our lead has changed hands 3 times, and we've got a 1-point game as we get ready to start the second half. And boy, Herbie, I really think you put your finger on it. How will TCU hold up when we get into that 4th quarter with that huge offensive line banging on them?
TCU only 18 offensive plays in the first half.
Short and away from Curley this time to the out back, and a good decision again. Badgers special teams coming up big here, and Shivers makes the stop on Southward. No, I should say Southward brought down Shivers. Let me just reverse who was doing what. And here is the Horned Frogs, 8 yards in the second quarter.
And a lot of that had to do with, in 3 plays, Wisconsin controlled the football. Their last 2 drives, Wisconsin had a 12-play drive, which resulted in a missed field goal, and then a 13-play drive to end the half. Of course, they hit the field goal to get it to 14-13, but Andy Dalton hadn't been out there much since the first quarter.
And Ed Wesley's carried the ball only once. He's in that backfield, and there was movement. Watt says he was pulled off. So that would be a false start and costly to TCU to start the second half.
Before the snap, false start, number 84 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Evan Frosch, the tight end.
It's exactly how Gary Patterson did not want to start this second half in a 1-point game.
Wesley and Tucker both in the mix. And they give it to Curley. And the Badgers certainly not fooled by that formation or the presence of 85 in that backfield.
Kind of that diamond formation that we've seen pop up here late in the year in college football. TCU, not that they've gone to it a lot, but I don't think they're very confident in running the football in the more traditional way. I think the thing that they feel most comfortable with in running is when they've run Andy Dalton with the zone read.
Spread the field. Dalton hit on the release, flutters, and a penalty flag is thrown. Penalty flag is thrown. I believe it was Smith who had the coverage that time. Curley, the intended receiver. And Bielema saying it's not catchable over there. Should pick this flag up.
Pass interference, number 10 on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Devin Smith, and here it is.
I think the reason Devin Smith is frustrated is Curley, in trying to adjust to where the ball was thrown, actually went into Devin Smith. I think that's the reason that Smith is frustrated, because he felt Curley came into him. Dalton got hit right as he released the ball by Hemer. But anytime there is contact like that and it's in question, it's always going to go on the defense.
First down and 10. Ball just across the 40. Now they get it to Wesley. Dances outside. Picks up a couple of yards on that first down. Sorensen making the stop for the Badgers.
It's a TCU offense. It prides itself on running the football. Justin Fuente telling us this week, hey, we run the football to win games. We throw to score, but we run the ball. Our identity is our running game. And to think that they only had 1 carry by the running back in the first half is definitely not like TCU.
Dalton from the pocket has another first down, and breaking free, Wesley, the running back. His biggest play of the game, and it comes on a reception, and it sets TCU up with a 33-yard gain.
And this is a form of the running game. You get Wesley flanked out, and you get him matched up against a linebacker in space. This is what TCU wanted to do all along. Can Mike Taylor make a play? Can Blake Sorensen make a play out in space? Because if you give Wesley the football against a linebacker and he builds up momentum, he's going to be able to run through some tackles and shake and bake and get around people. He also got outside of Niles Brinkley.
Tucker now the running back. The ball at the Badgers 25. Dalton adjusts his wide receiver. Looks for that quick flare out there. Got it. First down, Jimmy Young. Signaled to him, moved him in a little bit closer, then threw it to him for the first down.
There's the experience of Andy Dalton taking advantage of a soft corner up at the top. He sees that pre-snap. He sees that the corner is way off the line of scrimmage, Finellis, and he says, this is like pitch and catch. We do this in practice. I'm a 4-year starter. I'll take this, and I'll take an easy first down.
First down across the 15. From the pistol. And it is first down and goal as Matthew Tucker busts a play, and TCU could be in business here.
This time it's a zone read, and he's reading 93 Nzegwu, and because of the success of Dalton running the ball, this time Nzegwu, 93, there you see him, stays to the outside with the quarterback, Andy Dalton, and it opens up the back that time. Matthew Tucker for big yards up the middle.
Shivers is the lead fullback for him, and Shivers gets the call and barges on into the end zone. Touchdown, TCU.
What a way to start the second half. Remember, they had the false start to go to 1st and 15 on the first play. 6 plays, 71 yards. They mixed the run with the pass, and Dalton puts them on the board.
Don't forget the pass interference call.
Absolutely. They get down inside there, and they give it to the big fella Shivers, who pretty good push. We've been seeing Wisconsin's offensive line get a push. That time the Horned Frogs getting a push.
Evans tacks on the extra point. Still a one-possession game. TCU with the lead at the Rose Bowl, presented by Vizio.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Happy New Year, everybody. With Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews, I'm Brent Musburger. And Farmers Insurance is bringing you aerial coverage of this Rose Bowl game and coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. If you've just joined us, 21-13, TCU leads Wisconsin. And you can see the purple and red of a jammed Rose Bowl. Great day for a football game. The Horned Frogs just scored, and Kevin Sharples will kick it away. Gilreath on a big hop, drops it, picks it back up, and down inside the 10-yard line. There's a penalty flag. There is a penalty flag on the 15.
During the return, illegal block in the back, number 17 on the receiving team. Opponent is half the distance to the goal, 1st and 10.
That really backs the Badgers up. When you come back, they will have the ball inside the 5-yard line, trailing 21-13.
ESPN College Football, the Rose Bowl game, is brought to you by Discover. It pays to discover. Official card of the Bowl Championship Series. The new 2011 Ford F-150. Built Ford Tough. And the Touchdown Big Box. Only at Taco Bell.
And just as soon as we're finished here in Pasadena, we're going to be sending you down to the desert. The Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, Oklahoma and Connecticut. Another BCS game set to unfold. And now the Badgers backed up. Monty Ball is the running back. Ball with 101 yards rushing here today. Gets the first call, adds to it. Picks his way to the 10th. And Herbie, let's take a look at today's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate.
Late in the first half, Nick Toon on a 3rd down and 9 laid out and showed what good hands are all about. Strong hands here. They reviewed it, and the field they called it incomplete. They reviewed it and gave him the catch and gave him the first down. That is definitely Allstate good hands play so far in this Rose Bowl.
Hammering away with Ball, who picks up the first down.
But it's going to be a great battle here with Wisconsin backed up deep in their own territory. They're down. They need an answer. TCU really crowding the line of scrimmage against a two tight end set look of Wisconsin. They've got 9 guys, almost 10 guys up close to the line of scrimmage. So the Wisconsin offensive line and the running game against this athletic defense, and a defense that's made some pretty good adjustments against that running game these last few series.
Ball, nothing doing. Tank Carter again.
Well, Tanner Brock and Tank Carter, these last 3 possessions, they're getting behind and using their speed. The speed right now is blowing up this running game. And also, great job by Wayne Daniels of beating the block by 48 Pedersen, the tight end. Nowhere to go, and all of a sudden the field beginning to tilt right now in favor of Gary Patterson in this defense.
Tank comes out. Horned Frogs expect a pass. Tolzien. Toon, first down. So they go back to Nick Toon, and he came back to the ball like a good receiver, like his daddy did.
Yeah, you and I are seeing the same thing. This is textbook on how to come back to the football, come back to your quarterback. You come downhill, you secure the football, and then you use your athletic ability to pick up the first down. He knew exactly where he was. He shakes Cuba's tackle attempt and then gets across that first down marker to pick up a much-needed first down for the Badgers.
Al Toon, longtime star in the National Football League after graduating from Wisconsin. First down and 10. Tolzien again has great time, and this time he comes back to him.
Right time to call it, Brent. You talked about it at the break. Got to get the ball back to Nick Toon in these last 2 plays. That's exactly what Scott Tolzien has done. He recognized one-on-one coverage, and that's the beauty of calling play action on 1st and 10. You get one-on-one coverage, you go against the best defensive back, best corner of TCU and Jason Teague, and Nick Toon again with those great hands secures that football.
18 yards for Toon. Taking a quick break. And they pound with Ball in that offensive line, who bounces outside this time. Makes the most of it before Teague trips him up on the play.
I think it's time to recognize the Monty Ball story. When camp started, and James White came in with a lot of recognition coming out of St. Thomas Aquinas, and he basically beat out Ball for that second position behind John Clay. And instead of going in the tank, he lost his carries. He was right there for most of the season until the Iowa game. And when John Clay got hurt and James White got hurt, they turned to Monty Ball, and that was his coming out party. But he stayed positive all year.
And White is now on the field. Gets the carry. First down. He's got that escapability.
Sure does. He brings that nice change of pace, the burst, to be able to get away from a guy initially and to get upfield in a hurry. That's what makes this so neat is you have Ball, who is kind of a combination of White and Clay. White with the speed and the quickness, Clay with the power, and Monty Ball has power, but also, as we've seen, he's pretty shifty and can bounce to the outside. Coaches tell us all 3, great relationship. They cheer for one another. There isn't any animosity whatsoever in that team, or that running back meeting room.
Play action. Tolzien fires far side. Toon incomplete. Terrific coverage by McCoy, and also
I think that the idea to go back to 1st and 10 play action is what I think Paul Chryst knew he had to do. Great effort again by Toon, but let's give Greg McCoy, who is at 5'10", going up against a big physical receiver, a lot of credit. The ball is perfectly thrown. It looked like Toon again was going to come up with a catch, but Greg McCoy does not give up on the play, and because he did not, he was able to fight that football away from Nick Toon, who's having a big night.
Being coached up on the sideline. Thought had to go up in the air and take it out. And now they come back with a running play with the freshman White.
This drive started on their own 5-yard line after TCU went up by 8 points.
Toon is back on the field. He's returned for this 3rd down.
start getting on these long drives. You talk about fatigue. TCU used to forcing teams 3 and out. Again, how do they hold up here in these longer drives in this second half?
Kendricks standing up on the left side of the formation. He's number 84. Oh, man, you know who that was? That was the tank, baby. Oh, that hurt up here.
What a great call by Gary Patterson, the head coach who's in charge of this defense. The blitz comes from the outside to the right. They brought one more than Wisconsin could handle up front, and they brought the pressure, and he just lowered the boom on Scott Tolzien. I don't even think Tolzien felt Carter as he came in there and got the penetration.
And finally, we've had a punt in this Rose Bowl. Had one fake punt and fair catch at the 18-yard line. TCU with the lead. They'll have the ball when you come back. TCU with the football. Ed Wesley is the running back. Horned Frogs lead it 21-13. 6.5 minutes left in quarter number 3. Wesley got the edge. Wrestled out of bounds.
TCU
by Boutron.
TCU on that last play decided to bring Teague on the blitz, and here is Carter, who comes to the inside. They have 4 defensive players and only 3 Wisconsin blockers. That's a side adjust by the quarterback, but Tolzien took his eyes to the left. He never even saw the blitz from Tank Carter. Great call again by Gary Patterson and Dick Bumpus, the defensive coordinator.
Second and 1. Read option. Dalton short of it. It'll be 3rd down. David Gilbert read it well.
It's one of the first mistakes we've seen Andy Dalton make. He's going to make the read right here as a defensive end on Gilbert. He's trying to decide, is he going to come down or is he going to stay outside? He gave the look like he was coming down to the back, which made Dalton think, I'm going to keep this and run for a first down. And then at the last moment, he jumped back out to the outside. So a poor read there by Dalton that prevented their getting the first down.
Tucker and Wesley in the backfield. First down, TCU, I believe. Valai pounded on him right near the first down marker. And they have moved the chains.
Boy, how about the collision this time right there with Valai and Wesley. Enough to pick up the first down, but he sure earned it. That's what he's known for over the years as a safety for this Patrick defense.
He's a senior, and he is out of the state of Texas, playing against TCU. You know, it's interesting in talking to the TCU coaches, Herbie, and consider this for a minute, folks. They thought LaMichael James, a great running back at Oregon, was coming to TCU. And then the day before, he decided...
Before the snap, number 88 in the neutral zone, lined up. That'll be a 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Consider this TCU team with LaMichael James as one of the running backs.
Wow.
But then the day before you had to commit, he decided that he would go up to Eugene. And, of course, the Ducks are very happy about that. And so, too, is LaMichael.
Yeah.
Having a great career.
So
we'll see him. First down and 15 on the slant, and they put it Jeremy Curley's hands for the first down.
Again, trying to isolate and get this defense in space. Look how big the opening is this time against this Wisconsin defense. It's a breakdown. This is just not good coverage by Smith and St. Jean of getting out and recognizing and reading the quarterback's eyes and getting over there. St. Jean exposed a little bit in coverage that time. A huge opening, and after another mistake on 1st and 15, Horned Frogs pick up a first down.
Tucker and Wayman James now in that backfield. And here they come with number 32. And that is Wayman's first carry, redshirt freshman out of Sherman, Texas.
We're starting to see the backs get their hands on the football. Wesley and Tucker and Wayman James, kind of the bowling ball of the trio.
Second down and long. James stays on the field. The great All-American center, Jake Kirkpatrick, over the ball, number 76. Another perfect snap.
Let's go!
Young, first down, terrific effort.
The thing I love about Jimmy Young is he had 59 receptions back in 2008. He's an unselfish player. He only had 27 receptions this year as a senior, and he does not complain. He's just happy with the success of the team. A little move, a little dip to the outside. He cuts it back to the inside, maintains his balance, and then gets upfield again for another first down. And good timing between Dalton and Jimmy Young.
Tucker and James check into that backfield, that pyramid look. Play action, Dalton, incomplete down the near sideline. James the target.
These receivers are getting a lot of attention when they go downfield. And TCU's had some success with their vertical pass game. And when they send a receiver downfield, it gets a lot of attention. Josh Boyce that time got downfield, and 2 or 3 Badger defenders were running with him, and it opened it up down the sideline there for Wesley.
Hicks is one-on-one toward the top of your screen. They're going to run Curley. Second time they have used him as a running back out of that formation to the 40-yard line, and Aaron Henry makes the defensive play for the Badgers.
It's a big third down for both teams. Clock starting to become an issue in this game, especially if TCU is able to keep this drive alive and get more points on the board.
Need to cross the 35 for the first down.
When Dalton has time to throw, pretty effective converting on third down. They're 4 of 5 tonight.
There are penalty flags galore.
It's like a couple holding calls, but with them not converting, let's see what Brett Bielema decides to do here. He's going to decline it. Bring up a fourth down.
Holding, number 61 on the offense. That penalty is declined. It'll be fourth down.
Well, you know J.J. Watt's going to be a factor. This is a matchup a lot of people wanted to see. This is where Watts really changed. Cannon gets beat, and he said, "You may have gotten me that time, but I'm taking a piece of your jersey with me." Officials obviously catch that. That's a nice move. That's where J.J. Watt's taking his game to the next level.
Patterson going to play a little field position. He has Kelton on the field. Hang it up in the air. And it is going to be close. If they did not cross the goal line, it's going to be down inside the 5, and the officials down there are signaling that he was not stepping on the goal line. That's a beautiful play. That is some great play. Wow. Chris Gardner on the special team, all over it. Well, there's a look at the DirecTV drive to the national championship. And the next time ever you and I will see it, it'll be in Glendale. We'll be there for the BCS National Championship, Auburn, Oregon, on January 10th. So the Badgers again backed up. Remember, their last drive started at the 5-yard line. This one will start at the 3-yard line. So in terms of field position, TCU has dominated over the last couple of drives. Badgers did get out in good fashion the last time. Ball is the running back. Play action. They're going to throw on first down. Primary covered. Comes back the other way. Incomplete. Let's check in down below with Aaron Andrews. Aaron?
Brent, Wisconsin's offense without tight end Lance Kendricks right now. He's in the locker room getting an IV. They said he's cramping up, and there's really no word on his return. I'll let you know if we find out.
Wow. That's very, very significant for Wisconsin. Losing their best threat as a receiver along with Nick Toon. That means Jacob Pedersen will have to step up and become that go-to target as a tight end.
Inside of 2 minutes in the third quarter. The run ball. Fine looking running back here today. 119 yards he has rushed for and 18 carries.
Just really impressed with TCU and the way these players understand Gary Patterson's defense. I mean, as soon as Wisconsin either motions or moves a tight end from one side to the other, everybody's on the same page. There's no miscommunication. They're locked in exactly to what Gary Patterson wants to do as a unit.
3rd and 6. Ball will not get it. Fumble. Ball comes loose, but it was down. This will be 4th and short. 1 minute left. If you weren't with us earlier, coming out, not in this bad a field position, I should point out, but on 4th and 9, Bielema, the team, went for the fake punt. You would not expect it here.
No. We've seen it before with Brett Bielema.
Nortman with the punt. And remember who's back deep now. Jeremy Curley. Here's Curley. Fair catch. Good decision by the young man on the 38-yard line. TCU starting to hand out some punishment. The recipient is the quarterback, Scott Tolzien. We welcome you back to the 97th Rose Bowl game, presented by Vizio. TCU with the lead and the football. 1st and 10, final 20 seconds of quarter number 3. James, and here's the option look. Short side, and James comes down that sideline toward the first down spot. What a fine run by number 32 down that sideline. And was that Froush, the tight end, Herbie?
Yeah, Evan Froush just does a good job on the right. Watch him sustain the block on Mike Taylor. He just sets the edge right there. You get a block by Brock, but in the inside there, Froush really does a good job of being able to lock up with Mike Taylor and give the running back some room to get downfield. Nice job by Wayman James.
TCU 1 quarter away from winning the Rose Bowl. This is the only major bowl game that TCU has never played in. And now they're closing in on a win. They're the newest members of the Hall of Fame. Brad Buddy, USC on the left, Leroy Keys, Purdue on the right, and there is Hayden Fry out of the state of Texas, and he was a legend at Iowa as their head coach. Brett Bielema, a walk-on, gave him a scholarship, then a GA, then a full-time job as a coach, and then, of course, Hayden walked off into the sunset. Looked like he rode in today with James Garner, didn't he? So it's first down and 10 now for TCU. And here's Curley picking up the first down as Dalton put it in his hands.
Let's make this Wisconsin defense continue to have to play in space. TCU is really doing a good job of mixing up their play calling, and against soft coverage, it's exactly what they want, to get Curley the football, because once he makes the catch, he's more dangerous with the football in his hands after the catch, just like he does on punt returns and kick returns. He gets upfield in a hurry for another first down. Boy, Justin Fuente mixing up the play calling, the formations, really just keeping Wisconsin off balance on defense.
You can see that they put Curley in that pyramid look in the backfield. Play is stopped before it goes. Herbie Curley has caught 4 passes for 40. Young 5 for 57. Boyce 1 for 44. And Wesley out of the backfield 1 for 33.
Before the snap, false start, number 61 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Marcus Cannon, the left tackle.
We talked about how would TCU's defense hold up, and would fatigue become an issue in the second half. There has not been any sign of that for Gary Patterson's group. If anything, they seem to be getting stronger on defense. If any defense is having more of an issue with fatigue, it might be Wisconsin.
First and 15. A little bit behind the receiver and goes incomplete on that particular play. You know, you look at Gary Patterson over there on the sideline. I mean, he works up a sweat before the ball is in the air on the opening kickoff. 50 years old, folks. He's out of Roselle, Kansas. That's a no-stoplight town. And for 2 decades, he was a very lowly paid assistant coach. UC Davis and Cal Lutheran were 2 of his stops. And then he got his opportunity at TCU. Been there 10 years, and he's done a remarkable job with this program. Second and 15. Pistol look. Option, Dalton pitches it back to the running back Tucker, and the Badgers jump it.
It's an outstanding job by J.J. Watt against a pistol right here. They're going to option him. He's going to slow play it and then eventually make the play after the pitch. It's a great job of playing the quarterback and then coming off of the quarterback and still having the speed out in space to chase down Matthew Tucker and set up this 3rd and long for TCU.
They are 4 of 6. They've converted a couple of 3rd and 10s, but this one needs 14. Dalton's back. Steps up against the pressure, fires for it, and almost intercepted. Almost picked off by Connor O'Neill.
Tremendous effort and a good job of buying enough time there by Andy Dalton. He stepped up into the pocket. And boy, what that looked like, and until his own man ended up knocking him back, I thought O'Neill had that football, but Aaron Henry jarred the ball loose.
So here's Kelton on to punt again for TCU, and David Gilreath holds the Big Ten career records for kickoff returns, and he's a fine punt return man, but that a fair catch as it's hung in the air, and the Badgers just have not had good field position here in the second half. This time they'll start from the 10. Right after we finish the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio, we're going to be taking you down to the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Bob Stoops and the Oklahoma Sooners arriving for their engagement with Connecticut. That'll be coming up next. Stoops, as head coach of the Sooners, won his first 2 BCS games, but he's been in a slump ever since. As we bring you back to the shadow of the San Gabriel, sunset closing in on one of the great scenes in American sport. They start to pound now with John Clay. Jones making the stop. So here's the issue in the 4th quarter. Who will be worn down?
Right.
Who survives here in the 4th quarter? We've got an 8-point game.
Give TCU a lot of credit. Anson Kelton, their punter, with the lead. When they're not scoring, they're pinning Wisconsin deep in their own territory. In fact, these last 3 drives, they started at the 11-yard line, their own 5-yard line, and their own 3-yard line. So it's a challenge for Wisconsin to get back in this game. They got to drive the length of the field.
Lance Kendricks is back, and that was stopped. False start. That'll cost the Badgers 5 yards. About a half dozen penalties against Wisconsin here today.
Before the snap, false start, number 74 on the offense, 5-yard penalty, it'll be second down.
That's Sean Moffitt, their outstanding left guard.
Still 12.5 minutes to go in this game, and I know Wisconsin had some success early in this game, and in the second half they've not been able to get any rhythm going. Paul Chryst, the offensive coordinator from Wisconsin, it's going to be interesting to see when does he start to get more aggressive with the play calling, and when does he still rely on that running game to move the football. I think it's going to be a little bit of a balancing act for Paul Chryst.
TCU shows pressure. They've got Tolzien, steps away from it. And then the tank unloads.
Let's take a look of our DirecTV Ultimate Picture Cam, and again, it's the pressure. This time Jones is going to come from here. They bring him on the inside. They're mixing up their looks. They're creating confusion. This time both backs weren't real sure. Clay looked at it and thought, do I have him? Also, the fullback Ewing wasn't sure if he had him. And because of that indecision, Jones, who's had a heck of a football game tonight, was able to get enough pressure on Tolzien to make him abort and try to pick up yards with a scramble.
Ball back in as the running back. 3rd and 10 for Wisconsin. First down. Strikes in the middle of the field to David Gilreath.
Great job. Gilreath is the 3rd down receiver in this Wisconsin offense. Perfect job of sitting in the hole of the zone defense of TCU. TCU's put so much pressure on Tolzien all night, especially on 3rd down. That time he had time to throw, and Gilreath just sat right between the linebackers, Brock and Carter, and picked up the first down.
Play action on 1st down. Going to go deep far sideline, and it's incomplete. McCoy had coverage on Gilreath.
The biggest challenge for Tolzien and Wisconsin getting back into this game is they really don't have the vertical pass game. And when they have hurt teams this year, Brett Bielema and Paul Chryst and Scott Tolzien, what they've tried to do is they've made you get out of position off of play action, and they usually throw intermediate passes, short passes. Very rarely do they try to stretch the defense downfield because they don't have receivers necessarily that are built for that kind of offensive philosophy.
Timeout.
Timeout. Wisconsin. That's their first timeout of the half.
We'll take a break. TCU 21, Wisconsin 13. 11 minutes remaining when you come back.
ESPN College Football, the Rose Bowl game, is presented by Vizio, delivering entertainment freedom for all. And in part by Cadillac, the new standard of the world. And AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, period.
Our scene, Pasadena, California. The Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio. With Kirk Herbstreit and Aaron Andrews, I'm Brent Musburger. Happy New Year, everybody. Second down and 10 for the Badgers after the first timeout of the game. Tolzien has time, incomplete. TJ Johnson again, that time on Kendricks.
Wisconsin is throwing the football so much to the middle. Something to keep in mind for Scott Tolzien, a simple little flare-out pass, but the coverage is all being squeezed into the middle. Everybody is concerned about Kendricks and Tune because of the success off of play action where they like to throw the ball behind the linebackers. Paul Chryst might want to think about trying to attack a little bit more on the perimeter where the coverage is much softer.
3rd and 10. Tolzien deflected, incomplete. Badgers forced to punt after Wayne Daniels deflects the forward pass.
You know, Wayne Daniels was fired up coming into this game, and He has done a good job this year stepping up for Jerry Hughes. Now, he didn't necessarily rush the passer. He just was kind of a spy, watching Scott Tolzien, being a great athlete, gets up into the air and knocks that football down.
Nortman to punt. Curly fair catches it at the 30-yard line. 10:44 to go in the Rose Bowl. TCU with the lead and the football when you come back. We're going to take a look at today's Taco Bell touchdown spotlight. TCU fell behind 3-0 on the Badgers' opening drive. This was their first drive, Herbie.
Yeah, they caught Wisconsin napping. Curley going to the tunnel screen, and Bart Johnson gets right behind Aaron Henry for a touchdown, a double move, and it really set the tempo for Andy Dalton.
Dalton, sort of a busted play. Tucker is his running back. Wesley has come off with an injury, and they have kept his helmet away from him down on the sideline, and we'll keep an eye as to whether or not he returns here into that backfield. But there is Wesley. He wanted to go back on the field after he was shaken up. Second down and 13. Empty backfield. TCU spreads the field. Slip screen, Curley to the 32-yard line, and this will be third down and long.
If you're a TCU fan, you're up by 8. You're looking at the clock now, under 10 minutes. You're in the Rose Bowl. There's been so much talk about TCU wanting to prove to the world that they belong in this kind of game. Andy Dalton is the key here in the final 9.5 minutes to go. Continue to manage this game. Make good decisions. Put his offense in a position, if it's not there, throw it away and punt the football. He's got to continue to manage the football game.
James is the running back alongside Dalton. Fires for the first down and moves the chains. Andy Dalton, the senior quarterback, just an outstanding young man, and Herbie, a pretty good thrower.
How about J.J. Watt? Moves from the outside to the inside, and because of Dalton's quick decision, he's able to get rid of the football and be able to, again, find a receiver that's not getting tested at all off the line of scrimmage. Curley and Young both are able to get off the line of scrimmage, get into that soft spot of that zone, and sit down, and Dalton just throws it very simply for the first down.
And it's still Tucker. It's the pistol. Tucker sort of tiptoed into the middle. Second down coming up.
No turnovers tonight so far for TCU. That goes back to Andy Dalton, the decision-making, managing the game, being in control. Who else would you want maybe outside of Kellen Moore or Andrew Luck in all of college football? And Andy Dalton 41-7 as a starting quarterback.
Second and 7. Dalton. Complete and out of bounds. Hicks.
Start looking at these third down opportunities for TCU's offense and Wisconsin's defense with the 8-point lead. It's not just trying to get a first down. It's getting a new set of downs. It's affecting field position. It's affecting the clock. All these things. Every time Brett Bielema's defense allows TCU to get a first down late in this game, it's a big-time loss for Wisconsin because of that clock and because of the field position.
Dalton deflected, incomplete. Great play by Nzegwu. Nzegwu makes the play defensively, and the punt team is on the field again for TCU.
And if Nzegwu doesn't make this play, look at the coverage, how soft it is on third down. Nzegwu jumps up as a defensive end, but if he does not do that, Boyce is able to come through on that quick slant and pick up another first down. Wisconsin catches a break because of Nzegwu's athletic ability to get up and knock that ball down.
Gilreath Bad snap. Tracked down by Kelton. Gilreath would find nothing to the 23-yard line. And again, the coverage team by TCU. 7.5 minutes. Badger football when you come back to the Rose Bowl. Farmers Insurance brings you aerial coverage of the Rose Bowl game and coverage for your auto, home, life, and business. Thanks for being along with us on this special Rose Bowl occasion. Non-automatic qualifier TCU shows up and they lead the co-champion of the Big Ten. Best starting field position this half. Right now, 23-yard line. Wisconsin 3 possessions this half and 3 punts. John Clay is the running back. Clay for a fine first down and 14 yards before McCoy can wrestle him down.
John Moffitt leads the way. The big left guard coming around to be able to pick up a block and get into that traffic. And Clay showing again very nimble on his feet for a guy that's 255 pounds. If he didn't run into his wide receiver Nick Toon, I think the big fella may still be running.
Clay again. Bust free. Brought down close to the 30-yard line. T.J. Johnson comes with Clay.
To counter play, the Kendricks this time comes in motion, and then he comes back, picks up a great block off the defensive end, and John Clay running very determined here in a drive that is obviously in a must-scoring mode for Wisconsin. Not quite the speed to pull it away, but definitely showing some pretty good acceleration for the big fella.
30 more rushing yards, and now Burrow checks in. Timeout. Tolzien just used their second timeout of this half.
Wisconsin, that's their second timeout of the half.
And that leaves them with only one now. When you come back, 6.5 minutes. It's a one-possession game. 21-13, TCU. 6.5 minutes left in the Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio, and Wisconsin mounting its best drive of the second half. They have come with the hammer. Big John Clay and his first 2 plays of this drive for 14 and 30 yards. Now they go back to Burrow. Toss play to Burrow. Nothing doing. Jammed up. Daniels is there defensively, number 96.
Interesting that Paul Chris continuing to rely on the strength. This time, T.J. Johnson said enough of those last 2 plays. He forces the play back to the inside. How many times has Gary Patterson used the term this week with us? Leverage. This is leverage. Forcing a back to where his defenders are. Don't let him get to the outside where he has room to run. Make him go back to where those black jerseys are. Good job that time by T.J. Johnson.
Second down. Badgers keep it on the ground. Hammer with ball to the 30-yard line. This will bring up a 3rd and long, let's call it. Let's call it about 7 yards they're going to need here.
Comes down now to Scott Tolzien. The offensive line, the last few 3rd downs have not done a good enough job of giving him time to throw. You've got to think Gary Patterson will get pretty creative here on his 3rd down. Try to get pressure, try to get to the face. And let's see if Tolzien can either find Nick Toon, number 1, or Lance Kendricks, isolated one-on-one.
Tank Carter is picked up on the blitz, and it is complete. First down. And they get it in Kendricks' hands, and there's a penalty flag late. Thrown around the 18-yard line.
Thing it looked like could have been was possibly a block in the back as Kendricks was being tackled.
There was no foul on the play, no block in the back.
right at the end. It happened right in front of Gary Patterson. He was very adamant, pointing backwards, thinking that it was a block in the back. Good job here on third down. They gave him just enough time. He finds Kendricks. Now watch Kendricks break the play here. And then right at the end of the play, Gilreath just gives a little bit of a push there and trying to be able to make the play. And they must have determined that maybe Kendricks was on his way down or down before Gilreath blocked Jones in the back.
Badgers' first pass of the drive. Clay back on the field. And a big first down run for the Badgers.
This is a huge factor, Brent, and this is a huge factor. Closing in on 4 minutes. One timeout because Tolzien's been forced to use 2 of his timeouts. Taking their time, still running the football, and that's great if they're able to score a touchdown and go for 2 and tie the game up.
Second and 5. Again, Clay. First down, no. Very close.
Boy, this is a great effort by John Clay. A lot of people wondered how much would John Clay play tonight. The way Monty Ball and James White finished those last 4 games, would the Doak Walker finalists get an opportunity to play tonight? And this is the first time we've seen the Wisconsin offense come alive in the second half, and it's because of John Clay and this offensive line helping the Badgers get down the field.
Third and 1. ISO look with the formation. Clay follows the fullback for a first and goal. 3:15 and counting. Need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion.
They've been running the football so well. It gets so much tougher inside the 10-yard line against TCU's defense. Scott Tolzien is lethal in this area with the play-action pass. Now, they might just keep pushing because they might feel like they're wearing down this defensive line. But Lance Kendricks, in this situation on play-action, a lot of times is able to get behind coverage for touchdowns off of that look.
Clay across the 5, second and goal.
The way this clock continues to move with Wisconsin down to 1 timeout. Got to get into the end zone, obviously. Got to get the 2-pointer. Try to get it to overtime. And if they do score and they don't get the 2-pointer, basically it's going to come down to an onside kick. They're taking their time, working the clock, not to give Andy Dalton too much time if they do put this ball in the end zone.
Back with ball. Tries to get the edge, dives for the end zone, touchdown. 2 points away from a tie.
John Clay does most of the work, but Monty Ball, again, pretty versatile back, has quickness, but also enough power that time to get through the arm tackles. And that is only the second 10-play scoring drive that TCU's defense has allowed the entire season.
Three yards away from a tie. Ball stays on the field. Deflected, and the onside kick is the only hope for the Badgers. Tank Carter makes the play defensively. It's the play of the game.
How fitting for Carter, who's had a great season for this Horned Frog defense and a great game, to read the play, realize they're going underneath, jump up, and knock that ball down.
Clinging to a lead at the Rose Bowl, trying to make history. Welcome back to one of the most important onside kicks in the history of the Rose Bowl. It is 21-19, full 2 minutes to go. It'll be up to the Badgers to try and recover this ball or jar it loose after it travels 10 yards. The TCU players can move up. They can down it after it is kicked. And a very superstitious head coach is hanging on by a shoelace. Here we go. Up in the air and caught in the air and down by Bart Johnson. TCU football. Wisconsin with 1 timeout left. 1:59. And the Horned Frogs are near victory.
You got one of your hands team. You got one of your best receivers. Ball is kicked right to him. Secures that football and possibly secures the victory for TCU.
Matthew Tucker, and there is the man who stopped the 2-point conversion. Tank Carter. Ball security. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Brent, let's go back to the 2-pointer because watch Jacob Pedersen, the tight end, who's right here uncovered, and watch Tank Carter get his hand up and knock that ball down. If he does not make that play, or if Tolzien's able to try to dump it up and over Carter, it's probably a tie game. But great instincts by Tank Carter to go up into the air and knock that ball down because Jacob Pedersen, the tight end, nobody picked him up. He was all alone.
So the Badgers have used their final timeout, and we'll have 1:54 going. Just imagine the emotions of Gary Patterson, the TCU players, and all of their fans. I mean, this is for little guys everywhere. Non-automatic qualifier. They had to come the hard way. Unbeaten during the regular season, and here they are, closing in.
And let's not forget that a lot of people thought at the end of the year, Wisconsin and that offense, if there was a playoff, that might be the team that would win a playoff. So they came into this Rose Bowl with a ton of momentum. One of the hottest teams in college football, and TCU and Gary Patterson had this team incredibly well prepared. Game started out with 24 points in the first quarter, but it settled down and became more of a defensive struggle.
There's a handoff. They squirt through on the right side. Let us not forget way back. The one thing about going way back in a football game, you never know what would have happened afterwards if something had changed. But the Badgers did miss this field goal. It was a 39-yarder pulled to the left.
Yeah.
And right now, one of the differences in this game is that missed field goal with TCU leading it by 2.
And also mismanagement of the clock at the end of the first half, where they ended up settling for a field goal, but maybe could have had a touchdown. With all that said, 3rd and 4 with still 1:12 to go.
Here's James. First down, and TCU is going to win the Rose Bowl. The victory formation is coming up. For the little guys everywhere.
Well, Gary Patterson and the Frogs, they had an edge to them in their preparation.
They're clearing an idiot off the field right now. The umpire in his final game has just run him off. And now they'll get a little more security out onto the field. One minute remaining. And what a story this is for this school of 9,000 down in Fort Worth, Texas. It's a private school, outstanding school of business. And if you're interested in TCU, the annual cost, including housing, books, and fees, $41,100. That's a bargain, folks.
Yeah.
If you like to go to a school with a good football team, it's a place to go. About 9,000 students, I think, down there. It'll be a wonderful place.
Brent, how much will this win, you think, affect the long-term discussions in the future about the BCS and a non-automatic qualifier, whether they belong or whether they don't, there's so many people that would just kind of dismiss TCU or Boise State. You wonder if a win like this could change the climate in the future, even though TCU goes off to the Big East, of the little guy having a chance to play in the big game. It's one game on one night. Teams like this can play with anybody.
No, don't do that. This game's not over. He said, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you guys? Don't you know we play to the end?
You see what they said? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I love that.
Yes, sir, Coach.
It's the best part of the night. Yes, sir.
Wonderful. He's done such a great job down there. Big smile. And why not? There it is. Andy Dalton and TCU win the Rose Bowl. One for the ages. A failed two-point conversion is all that kept us from going to overtime. And there's the offensive hero of the game, Andy Dalton. And, of course, Tank Carter, the linebacker, the young man who broke his back in an automobile accident, took up football late and came in and made the play of his life. At the age of 10, he was a BMC champion, and now today he's a Rose Bowl champion. Let's go down.
I said at the press conference what I said we won it.
Well, I don't know.
We just won the Rose Bowl.
Yes, you did. Hey, there's been so much talk about if the little guys could hang with the big guys. You're getting very emotional now. What do you say to all those little guys?
I mean, this is for everybody. I got texts from Boise State today. I got texts from all across the country. They'll win this for us. I won it for TCU first, but that's a good Wisconsin team. You got to give them a lot of credit. We just are able to hold on to it. I can't tell you how much I love my guys. Head coaches get all the credit. The bottom line is the players get it done.
You know what you can tell me? Tell me what your emotions were when you saw the deflection and they were trying to go for 2 points to tie this thing up.
Well, yeah, because we didn't have a safety cover the number 3 guy. We knocked it down so he was wide open. So it was oh my goodness. And then, yes, we just might have won the Rose Bowl.
And finally, I have to ask you about Andy Dalton. You were worried he was going to put the weight on the world, try to come back from what happened last year in the Fiesta Bowl, put his performance in perspective.
Well, I can't. He just won 44 ball games as a starter. I can't say enough about Andy Dalton and the rest of this football team. It's been my life here for 13 years. I started with nothing, and now we have everything.
Gary, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There it is. But the game is over now. And that great speed, they were able to catch him. There he got that. And let's go down to Aaron with the quarterback of the day, Andy Dalton.
And he just said, wow. Well, Andy, the first non-AQ to not only play in the Rose Bowl, but to win it. How does that sound?
It sounds amazing. It's something we worked so hard for, and you can see all the hard work pay off. And to play in an outstanding game in a Rose Bowl against a great opponent, Wisconsin, we're thrilled and we're happy with the victory.
You guys said all the right things this week when people asked you, are you playing for the little guys out there? What do you say to that now?
You know, that's what we were doing. We weren't just playing for TCU, we were playing for all the non-AQ schools out there. And it's the attitude that we have. You know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, in 1 Peter 5:6, it says, humble yourself, and under God's mighty hand, he will exalt you in due time. And that's what happened today.
I have to ask you about your defense's performance. They really put Wisconsin out of rhythm in the second half. What did you see?
You know, they played outstanding. They made a few adjustments early on. They were running the ball pretty well on them. And, we fought hard. All we had to do was win by 1 point, and we won by 2, so I'll take it.
And what was working for you tonight?
You know, we had a lot of things. They were lining up and playing. We had a good game plan coming in, so we executed well and got a big win.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Well, Aaron, this was the play of the day. Tank Carter, that BMX youngster who turned to football. And as Herbie told you, watch number 48 turn wide open. Nobody on him, as Coach Patterson pointed out. And Carter simply swats it away. Just one of those plays that you'll remember forever out of Rose Bowl lore.
Just great to see Gary Patterson finally let go. But that was a heck of a play by Tank Carter.
And let's go down to Aaron.
We just made him come off the stage really quick. First of all, take us through the play of the game, the deflection.
Oh, well, that's just the way it happened. They came out, and we knew we had to stop them so we could win the game. They only need 2 points, and I went to go blitz, and I just stepped back, and I seen him cock his hand back, so I jumped up and swatted it away.
What was the emotion like when all your teammates and your coach came up to you?
Oh, there's nothing. I can't even explain. It feels so good to be out here at the Rose Bowl and get this win for TCU and the program. Definitely bring it back to Fort Worth, the win and everything. It just feels amazing.
And what about for you? You've been through so much adversity in your life. At one point, through a car accident, you didn't even know if you'd ever walk again. So put that into perspective.
Oh, I just took it one day at a time. You know, all that really just back in the day, I just needed to do what I needed to do and play with the team, and we all played as a group, and that's the way it went down. And today we came out with a win, and it feels good.
Go up there and get your trophy. Congratulations. Brent, back up to you.
Aaron, thank you very much. And they are ready to present the trophy. Let's go down to Chris Fowler. Chris.
Brent, thank you very much. An ecstatic bunch of guys in purple and black here. A soaking wet head coach about to clutch the Rose Bowl trophy. And to make the presentation, the president of the Tournament of Roses, Mr. Jeff Drew. Jeff? Coach Patterson, on behalf of the Pasadena Tournament of Roses, I want to congratulate you on being 2011 Rose Bowl champions. Gary, pass it off to your quarterback and explain what capping a perfect season with a Rose Bowl victory over Wisconsin means to your team.
Well, I don't know if you could put it into words. But first off, I want to thank everybody that came here from TCU land. Second, what can you say about the quarterback in a senior class who just won 44 ball games in their career? I think that says it all. I love them. They're special, and they found a way to win again today.
You knew Wisconsin had a powerful running game. At times today, they pushed you around, but you were able to make a stand just enough. Take us through that final play, the two-point conversion, when they're 3 yards away from perhaps forcing overtime.
Well, you know what? We actually had a blitz call, and I actually said to the offensive staff before that, get your thoughts together. You're going to go down and score. We can't stop them here. And we came up with a great tip and found a way to consider the wheel. But, I mean, it's like your life passes before your eyes. You can't even really say what you think about.
Gary, you've been saying that you've been playing for a bigger cause, not just for TCU, but for all the, quote, little guys, the outsiders in college football. What does this say about where we are in this sport at this time?
Well, I've been saying for a while that parity in college football is hit. You know, I got texts from everybody across the nation, from Boise State, from schools all over, wishing us good luck and saying we were playing for them. And today we play for us, and we play for everybody else out there that wanted a chance. So here we go.
It's been a long building process. This is the pinnacle. You see these guys behind you, confetti in the air in Pasadena. Can you believe it?
No, I can't. I'll probably have to go home and lay down and probably wait till I get back to Fort Worth before I'll be able to say, we just won the Rose Bowl.
Gary Patterson losing his voice, but his team didn't lose a game all season long. Congratulations, the Horned Frogs, champs of the Rose Bowl. Let's meet the players of the game. The offensive player of the game, the quarterback for the Horned Frogs, is Andy Dalton. Andy, you cap off a brilliant career, all those wins as a starter. I know you wanted to play better tonight than the bowl last season. What would make the difference for you?
You know, we knew we had to come out and execute well, and we did that early on. We started fast, and, you know, it just helped us get the big win.
You guys didn't have a usual dominant ground game. You really had to make a lot of passes tonight, a lot of key plays with the passing game.
And we had a lot of players make big plays. You know, the offensive line did an outstanding job. Guys making big plays on third downs. And so, you know, that's what we had to do.
Not many people come to TCU and dream about an undefeated season and a Rose Bowl. Put this into perspective from the player side of things.
You know, we knew we had a shot. We felt like we had a great class coming in and with a lot of good players, but it's a dream come true. It's what we set out to do, and the hard work's paid off.
The guy next to you, Tank Carter, who's the defensive MVP, we'll talk to him in a second. He batted down the two-point conversion. What was your reaction from the sideline watching that play?
You know, we knew there was still some time on the clock, so we had to go out and get the first down. But, you know, it was a heck of a play, and he did an outstanding job.
Andy, that trophy is yours. Congratulations. The offensive MVP, Andy Dalton of TCU. Let's slide around, talk to Tank Carter here. Linebacker, you were in the backfield, a couple of sacks, but the most important play of your career, reaching up, batting down the pass. Did you know the guy was wide open if you didn't make that play?
No, I had no idea. I was coming in on blitz, and he stopped me and blocked me a little bit, so I seen him cock his arm back, and I just jumped up and swatted away. So it was in the right place at the right time, and it feels great.
The challenge of facing this big, powerful offensive line, they thought they could wear you down to the fourth quarter. They almost did. You guys had just enough left.
Yeah, they almost did, but we pulled it out at the end. It seems like we got a little bit better towards the end of the game, and TCU pulled it out. So go Frogs.
Tate Carter, defensive MVP. Andy Dalton, offensive MVP, as TCU caps a perfect season by winning the Rose Bowl. Brent, back up to you.
Chris, thank you very much. Just a class performance. And following this game, we will go down to Arizona for the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. And there you see the two fine head coaches, Herbie.
Yeah, Oklahoma and Bob Stoops. They've lost 5 straight BCS bowl games. Heavily favored over UConn. Will they show up motivated and excited, I think, is a big key.
Yeah, Randy Edsel has done a great job. He'll bring the hammer in that game. He's got a real good running attack. But Oklahoma was something to prove in this game because they've lost their last 5 BCS games.
Yeah, I think Jordan Todman will be a big factor. But I really think for UConn to compete, their quarterback, Zach Frazier, will be the key. Because I think Oklahoma's going to put everything on Todman to stop him because he's so explosive and see if Zach Frazier has what it takes to be able to move the football. I think Oklahoma, if they show up mentally, they should be okay.
And meanwhile, we have had a fabulous Rose Bowl. One of the things, Herbie, that really has struck me about TCU, at no point during this buildup did this team ever lobby or say that we should be playing for the national championship. To a man, they said, we are delighted to be going to the Rose Bowl. We look forward to playing Wisconsin, and then we will let the polls take it from there.
They're a class program led by a class coach with a class quarterback in Andy Dalton. They deserved everything that they were able to achieve tonight. And I tell you, they were tested. It was 14-10 early. Both these offenses looked like it was going to be one of the highest scoring Rose Bowls we've had in years. Adjustments were made, and as Tate Carter said, we kind of settled down. And in the second half, outside of that long drive at the end of the game by Wisconsin, the Badgers really couldn't do anything offensively because of Carter and that defense.
The way the game turned around, it is so fitting that it came down to one final defensive play by Tank Carter. And now the Rose Bowl trophy will head back to Fort Worth, Texas. The Rose Bowl game presented by Vizio, and the Horned Frogs of TCU are the winners over Wisconsin.